Okay, we are live once again. Spiritual food is back. This is spiritual food controversy, called controversial. So this is the part of spiritual food where we deal with controversial topics. All right. So again, this is spiritual food controversy or controversial. Um, Before I begin, as usual, I got to give all praises, and I do mean all praises to the creator of all, the Ancient of Days, the Holy One of Israel, Yahweh, his name in Hebrew, which means I am, he is, or calls us to be. And we pay homage to his first begotten son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, Christ Jesus in the English, and to all of our righteous brothers, the righteous angels, spiritual brothers that's guiding us as we continue to do the Most High in Christ's work. And as our brother Jude puts it in his letter, for us to contend for the faith that was once delivered to the saints. So with that, everybody know me, I'm Ahmayan. I'm back again with another show. I got a new brother with me reading for me. I got my brother Shuri Shaddai. Shuri Shaddai, say shalom to the brothers and sisters out there listening.
Shalom, Ak. Shalom, Akwats. How's everybody doing this evening? Bahasham Shah Mashiach Yahweh Shai. And all that we do, giving praises to the Most High. We just are happy to come together in fellowship and brotherhood and sisterhood to get this word in. Stay in your word. Eat your word. Getting these scrolls. We just give all praise to the Most High for all that He has given us in all abilities, that we may share and edify one another and sharpen one another, keep us all sharpened, so the enemy can't come against us on His word.
All right, okay, brother. Tada atah for that, brother. Okay. Without further ado, of course, here on Spiritual Food, we don't do breakdowns. Again, we don't do breakdowns because that's exactly what that do to you, break you down. Here,
God.
we build ups because we're trying to build you up
God.
all the way up. Okay. So with that, we're gonna jump right into it. We can jump right into it. I want to say shalom to all my brothers from the true church of the firstborn. You can definitely read about us, about the church. The name comes straight out of the book of Hebrews. Hebrews chapter, let me read it right quick. The church name comes straight out of Hebrews chapter 11, verse 22. Let me read it real. As a matter of fact, Shuri, can you get that?
Hebrews 11.
Hebrews chapter 12. Sorry,
22.
Hebrews chapter 12, verse 22, verse 23. Yeah. So again, this is for my brothers from the true church of the firstborn. I'm going to say shalom to all my brothers. I'm going to say shalom to my brother Yabana. Shalom to Izar, Ala Nathania, all the other brothers that's with us. Brother Gabar, of course, is with us. My other brother, my cousin, my family in the truth, Aria. Young brother down in Sacramento, Yeshaya. Other brother down in Florida, Rick Smith, aka Servant Smith. Say shalom to all the brothers.
Shalom, shalom.
So you got Hebrews chapter 12, verse 22 and 23.
God.
All right.
Hebrews chapter 12, verse 11.
22, verse 22 and
22. But ye are come unto Mount Zion, and unto the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to an innumerable company of angels,
Go ahead.
to the general assembly and church of the firstborn, which are written in heaven, and to God, the judge of all, and to the spirits of just men made perfect.
Right. So that's where the church name comes directly out of the verse, out of the Bible. The church of the firstborn, which is the church of Christ, because he's the firstborn.
Yeah.
And we trying to get our names written in heaven. And the Most High is the judge of all, and to the spirits of just men made perfect. So we're trying to keep the law, statutes, and commandments to be just, and for us to be made mature. Or with that, let's jump right into the lesson. The first part of the lesson we're going to jump in is going to be Jacob's ladder. Let's get right into it right quick. Without further ado, let's jump into Jacob's ladder. The first part. So it's Jacob's ladder, sons of God, and Mamzer. Okay, so we gotta build up till we get to the Mamzer portion of it. So we're gonna start off first with Jacob's ladder. We're gonna come to Genesis chapter 28, starting at verse 10.
Genesis chapter 28, verse 10. And Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. And
So
he enlightened. Oh, excuse me. Go ahead.
So he's leaving. He's going now. He's on his way going. He's trying to get up to where his sister's brother is, Laban. So he's leaving. So he left Beersheba and he went up to Haran. Go ahead.
And he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of that place and put them for his pillow and lay down in the place to sleep, in that
Okay.
place to sleep.
All right. Here we go. Here we go. Go ahead.
And he dreamed,
So
and
now,
behold,
he dreams. So he's dreaming now. Go ahead.
and behold, a ladder set upon the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it.
Right. So now Jacob's dreaming and he sees this ladder set up upon the earth, and it reached all the way to heaven. To the top of it, reached unto heaven, and behold, he sees the angel of the Most High ascending and descending upon it. All right. So we know that angels don't need a ladder, like the thing you put on the side of a house to crawl up on the roof. And angels don't need that. This is not literally what he's actually seeing. What he's actually really seeing here is a DNA ladder. He's seeing a DNA ladder here. This is what Jacob's actually seeing. All right. So the English word ladder is the Hebrew word Sulam, Suilam, and it means a way cast up, mean to pile up like a terrace, a stairway, or a staircase, or in other words, he's seeing a DNA ladder where angels are changing from spirit to flesh, from flesh to spirit. This is what he's saying. This is what he's seeing. A DNA. It's a DNA ladder. Is what he's actually really seeing. We going to get further. We're going to prove that this actually is the facts. This is the truth. They're changing their molecular structure from spirit to flesh. This is what he is seeing here. Because again, angels don't need no ladder. Angels can fly and travel in what you call so-called UFO vehicles. The Bible calls them clouds. Okay, so they don't need that. So this has got to be a DNA ladder that he's seeing, and they're going up and down this ladder. Okay, clearly, this is what he's seeing. All right, Shuri, you continue. Shuri, you there? Well, I continue till the brother get back. Something must have happened. I continue till he gets back. Verse 13. And behold, Yahweh stood above it and said, I am Yahweh, power of Abraham, thy father, and the power of Isaac. The land wherein thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. Okay. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west. This is where we are. We're in the west right here now. And to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So it's through the nation of Israel, the descendants of Jacob, the earth is going to be blessed. All right. Verse 15. And behold, I am with thee, and will keep thee in all places whither thou goest, and will bring thee again into this land, for I will not leave thee until I have done that which I have spoken to thee of. So the Most High is speaking to Jacob here and is telling him what he's going to promise to do to him and to his seed. Right? All right, you back, brother?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right, I'm in verse. All right,
16,
I'm in verse.
right?
Huh.
And Jacob awaked out of his sleep, and he said, surely the Lord is in this place, and I knew it not.
Go ahead.
And he was afraid and said, how dreadful is this place? This is none other but the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven.
See that? This is the gate of heaven. This is where angels come in to this plane here and exit this plane. This is the gate. Okay, this is the house of the Most High. House. This is Bath Elohim. House of God. Bath Elohim. Okay. Or Bath or Beth Elohim. And this is the gate of heaven where angels come in and come out, change their molecular structure from spirit to flesh. This is what he's saying here. Okay, brother, go ahead.
And Jacob rose up early in the morning and took the stone that he had put for his pillows and set it up for a pillar and poured oil upon it on the top of it.
Go ahead.
And he called the name of that place Bethel, but the name of that city was called Luz at the first.
Right. So it's called Bethel. Again, that's house. That's the house of God. Beth Elohim. Okay. Beth Elohim, house of the Most High God. So that's the place where he was, where he had this dream and saw this DNA ladder. All right. From there, we want to come now to the Renewed Testament. The Messiah speaks on this. St. John's chapter 1, verse 51. We are not going to proving this now. This is the case. Angels coming down here in the flesh and coming through this gate, as we read in scriptures. This is the gate. You go in and out, and it's the DNA ladder where they change. Now, they don't always come down in flesh. Sometimes they appear in spirit. And we're going to read those. We're going to read those places too as well. You're going to read a couple of them, what happens. But there's a reason why they're coming into the flesh. So let's get St. John's chapter 1, verse 51. So we come into St. John's chapter 1, verse 51. This is to be the Messiah speaking. Anytime you're ready to read, brother, you can go ahead.
St. John, chapter 1, verse 51. And he saith unto him, verily, verily, I say unto you, hereafter ye shall see heaven. Ye shall see heaven open, and the angels of God as ascending and descending upon the Son of Man.
So that's what's happening in the Messiah's ministry. The angels of the Most High was ascending and descending upon the Son of Man, upon Christ. Okay, so heaven opened up. All right, that gate opened up, that door opened up, and it was ascending and descending upon Christ throughout his ministry. Okay, I want to get one place where this event took place, where angels came down. All right, let's get to the book of Matthew chapter 4 and verse 11. Matthew the 4th chapter and get verse 11.
Matthew chapter 4, verse 11. Then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him.
That's right. So angels came and ministered unto him. Like he said, that's in the beginning of his ministry when he first started picking his disciples. He told them this was happening. And we see here when he's in the wilderness, when Satan finishes temptation, that angels came and ministered unto him. Okay? They were ascending and descending upon him throughout his ministry. So let's find some more about these angels here now that was ministering unto the Messiah. Let's come to the book of Hebrews chapter 1. And let's get verse 13 and verse 14. Hebrews chapter 1, verse 13 and verse 14.
Hebrews chapter 1, verse 13. But to which of the angels said he at any time, sit on my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool?
All right, so you have not told the angels that. He told that to the Messiah. That's in Psalms 110 and 1 and verse 2. Okay, go ahead.
Are they not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister for them who shall be heirs of salvation?
Right, so the angels, they are ministering spirits, as we read just a minute ago in Matthew chapter 4, verse 11. They came in and ministered unto him. Paul elaborating that they're all ministering spirits, that they're sent forth to minister unto them who is going to be the heirs of salvation. The people who are getting salvation. These are people who they're coming to minister, they're ministering to. Okay? From there, I'm going to get Hebrews chapter 13, verse 1 and 2. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 1 and 2.
Hebrews chapter 13, verse 1 and 2. Let brotherly love continue.
That's right. We gotta let brotherly love continue, because in these days, brotherly love is just not continuing. So Paul is letting us know, look, let brotherly love continue. So we're gonna do that. So let that continue. Go ahead.
Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares.
That's right, because they are in the flesh. They're in the flesh, so that you really would know. You know what I'm saying? So you entertain angels unawares because they have come in the flesh. We started off by showing that they come to this gate, and Jacob saw it at DNA ladder, them changing their molecular structure, coming down here. All right. So now we're going to read about these angels coming down, and first we're going to read about them coming down in the angelic form. When they come in angelic form, this is what happened when they come in their angelic form. Revelations chapter 1, let me get verse 13 to 17. This is what happens when they come in the angelic form. We're going to get when they come also in the human form. Revelations chapter 1, we're going to read verse 13 down to verse 17.
Revelations chapter 1, verse 13.
All right, before you read it, brother, this is the Messiah. This is in his angelic form, in his full angelic form power. Okay, go ahead.
Revelations chapter 1, verse 13. And in the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and a girt about the paps with a golden girdle.
So the Son of Man is speaking of Christ, the Messiah. He was clothed with a garment all the way down to his foot, and he was girded about the paps, his midsection. We had a golden belt on, a golden girdle. All right, go ahead.
His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire.
So we see clearly. This is in his spiritual form, spiritual body in heaven. All right, this is how he looks. He has woolly hair. All right, white as snow. The hairs, it says the hairs, his head and the hairs were white like wool, white as snow, and his eyes was as a flame of fire. Go ahead.
And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters.
Right. So feet like fine brass, and they burn like there was in a furnace. I mean, they're very dark. Now, this is the depiction that people ain't looking for this depiction to come out the sky. When you talk about Christ coming back, this is not what they're looking for, but this is how this man is coming back. What we are reading right here. So if you waiting for a hippie, some blue-eyed, blonde-haired person, you sadly mistaken. This is how this man is coming back, just like this. This is how he's going to look.
God.
You look for anything else, you're looking for the wrong person, the wrong being.
God.
You should be looking for this depiction right here. If it's not this depiction right here, it's not him. All right? Go ahead.
And he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword, and his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength.
Go ahead. Now here we go. So this is when they come in a angelic form. This is what happens when they appear to men in an angelic form. Go ahead.
And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead.
He fell. He was out. John was out. John, when he saw him, he fell at his feet. John was as dead. He was out. The power that they come in their spiritual bodies and spiritual form is too much for a human being to deal with. They'll just lose all strength and just pass out. He said, as one dead. He felt his feet as one dead. Go ahead.
And he laid his right hand upon me, saying unto me, fear not. I am the first and the last.
All right. That's all we need right there to show you when they come in the angelic form, you're going to pass out. You're going to lose all strength and just drop. Okay. That's when they come in the angelic form. That's why they don't come in the angelic form. Angels don't come like that. Only a certain time. And that's rare. Most times you hear about angels speaking to men, they're in a fleshly body, speaking to them. They are not in their angelic form. I want to read another one in the so-called Old Testament, so we can see that this is not just in the Renewed Testament. This also is consistent with the Old Testament. Let's come to the book of Daniel, chapter 8. Let me get Daniel, the 8th chapter. Let me get verse 15 to verse 18. So we're going over how these angels manifest themselves in the angelic form, what actually happens. You're not ready for their manifestation in the angelic form. So they have to come in a fleshly body. So we're going to get Daniel's the 8th chapter. We're going to start at verse 15 down to verse 18.
Daniel's chapter 8, verse 15. And it came to pass, when I saw, even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning. Then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man.
Go ahead.
And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision.
So Gabriel is coming, going to make Daniel understand the vision, and there at the banks of Ulai, that's the river. Go ahead.
So he came near where I stood, and where he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, understand, O son of man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision.
So when Gabriel came to him, he said he fell on his face, like he just dropped. He face first. He didn't fell on his side, on his back. He said he fell up on his face. He just dropped. Go ahead.
Now, as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep, on my face toward the ground. But he touched me and set me upright.
Okay, so when he was speaking to him, he was like in a deep sleep, on his face toward the ground. He was face down on the ground. He lost all strength. He just fell out. All right. And then he touched him and he set him up. He had to pick him up because he had no strength in him, because he came in his angelic form at this time to Daniel. Okay? Daniel, you cannot stand up in front of these angelic beings when they come like that. That's why they got to come again in their fleshly bodies. We're going to get one more in Daniel. Daniel chapter 10. Let's get Daniel chapter 10. Let me get verse 2 down to verse 10. It's the last one I'm going to get to show you when these angels come in their angelic bodies, men just pass out. They just lose all strength. They just drop. Daniel dropped face first. Same thing with John. He dropped too, like as dead. It says there. So these angels got to come in a fleshly body. And we covered that earlier in Genesis, the 20th chapter. So now we're coming to Daniel chapter 10. We're going to get verse 2 down to verse 10. Okay, brother.
Daniel chapter 2. Daniel chapter 10, verse 2. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning three full weeks.
Go ahead.
I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth. Neither did I anoint myself at all, till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled.
Right, so Daniel was mourning, he said, for 3 weeks. Go ahead.
And in the 4 and 20th day of the first month, as I was by the side of the great river, which is Hedikel.
Right, so Hedikel. So he was so here it's the 24th day of the first month. So he started like in the first month. Okay, and fasted for 21 days. Right? So now we're in the 21st day, the 24th day. Go ahead.
Then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold and Uphaz.
All right, so now he's seen someone in describing the clothing on this man, clothed in linen, and his loins was girded with fine gold of Uphaz. All right, go ahead.
His body also was like beryl.
The beryl talking about green. Oh. The beryl talking about the green. Okay, got like a green garment on. Go ahead.
And his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude.
So this is similar to what we just read with St. John's in Revelation chapter 1. Okay, this is similar. All right, color of brass. All right, eyes like lamps of fire. So we similar there. Okay, this is he describing a man that he said he's seen here at the river Hedikel. We read about there's another one, Gabriel, there at the river Ulai. All right, so now he's at the Hedikel. Go ahead.
And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision. For the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves.
Go ahead.
Therefore, I was left alone and saw this great vision, and there remained no strength in me. For my comeliness was turned in me into corruption, and I retained no strength.
See that? So when he's seeing this vision of this person here, right? This is not just a vision. This is actually a real person that was there, a real entity that was there, spiritual being. He said, and there remained no strength in me. He lost all his strength, and his comeliness was turned into corruption, and I retained no strength. Again, similar to what happened earlier to him in the 8th chapter, where he just fell face first. That means you just lose all strength in your legs and everywhere else. You just drop. He dropped face first. So same situation here. You say he lost all strength again here. All right, go ahead.
Yet I heard the voice of his words. And when I heard the voice of his words, then was I in a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground.
Same thing in the 8th chapter again. See here? Like he was in a deep sleep, again, with his face to the ground. He's dropping down face first. That's what's happening when they come in their angelic spiritual form. You cannot take it. You're going to lose all strength. You're going to just drop. All right, go ahead.
And behold, a hand touched me, which sat upon me. Well, excuse me, would set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands.
See that? So you have to pick him up because he's flat face down on the ground. You had to pick him up and set him on his knees and the palms of his hand. This is the power these angelic beings come in like that. When they come in that form, you're gonna just drop. Okay, so we have that clearly. When they come in the angelic form, you can't even stand up. You're gonna drop down. Let's get some verses here when they come in their human form. Because they come in both forms. There's people out here teaching that angels only come in, angels are spiritual beings and they don't come in the flesh and a bunch of nonsense. That's proof they do come in the flesh. Let's get the book of Genesis 32. Let me get a couple of these. Genesis 32, so we can prove this. Genesis 32, we're going to start at verse 24. And so get right to the point.
Genesis chapter 32, verse 24. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the break of the day.
All right, so now Jacob has sent his family away, and then he's left alone. And when he was there, he said he's wrestled a man. So then again, he's wrestling a man here, right? And he wrestled with him until the breaking of the day. He's wrestling now. Okay, I want to be clear here. Jacob is not no little no wimp. Jacob is strong. People get a wrong perception of the picture of Jacob or Abraham and Isaac. Man, these brothers were strong. You know, these brothers were strong. Probably almost maybe near the side of the rock or something. These brothers are strong. Okay,
right?
Yeah. Right. He's wrestling someone all night. You can't be no weakling. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 25. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh. And the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him.
So he will be the angel or the man. We're gonna prove it's an angel.
We just locate his hip joint.
Just touched it. You know what I'm saying? Only an angelic being will know your bodily weak points at this stage, going all this way back. So, and when the man or / the angel saw that he prevailed not against him, Jacob, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, and he wrestled with him, and that he's the man again / angel wrestled with him. Him is Jacob. All right, go ahead.
And he said, "Let me go, for the daybreak. For the day breaketh." And he said, "I will not let thee go, except thou bless me."
So Jacob's not gonna let him go until he blesses him. Now, if this person, if this is an angel, we're gonna prove it. If he was in an angelic form, Jacob would have just dropped face first, like we read twice with John and with Daniel. So he had to be in a fleshly body for him to be able to wrestle him. Because this is an angel. We're gonna prove this is an angel. Okay? We don't make statements without proving it here on Spiritual Food. All right, go ahead, brother.
And he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed.
All right. So his name was then, he told him his name was going to be changed to Israel. Okay. Yarsha Allah. All right. Meaning he's the prince of God, or basically a son of God. All right. Go ahead.
And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there.
So he wants to know, like, why you want to know my name, Jacob? You know, what you asking that for? And then he blessed him there. Okay, go ahead. The last verse.
And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved.
So he's saying he have seen God, meaning a power face to face, and his life is preserved. So we know this is an angel. We're gonna prove it's an angel. If that verse is not clear that that's an angel, the next verse we're gonna pull is gonna make it clear that was an angel he was wrestling with. Let's get Hosea chapter 12. Let's get Hosea, the book of Hosea, chapter 12. We get verse 3 down to verse 5. We're gonna prove from this verse here that was an angel. All right. If it wasn't clear there, let me let Hosea tell you. Hosea, the 12th chapter. Let me get verse 3 down to verse 5.
Hosea chapter 12, verse 3. He took his brother by the heel in the womb. By his strength.
That's speaking of Jacob. We know Jacob, that's what Jacob did. He took Esau's heel. So we clear who this is speaking of. Okay, he took his brother by the heel in the womb. Go ahead.
And by his strength, he had power with God.
And by strength, he had power with God. That's what going back what we just read just now. We're going to get clearer. Go ahead.
Yea, he had power over the angel and prevailed. He wept and made supplication unto him.
See that? So he said, yea, he had power over the who? Angel. He was wrestling with him. Why? Because the angel was in a physical body. He couldn't have wrestled him if he was in an angelic body. That's why he was wrestling with him when he failed over him till he blessed him. That's what's going on. This is where it said he had power over he couldn't have power over no angel if he's in an angelic body. Stop it. Wouldn't even be a fight. Be nothing. Okay? So, and prevail says, and wept and made supplication unto him. Go ahead.
He found him in Bethel, and there he spake with us.
So now it's going back to what we read originally in the 20th chapter of Genesis. We read about Bethel, which was the house of God, the house of Elohim. It must be Beth Elohim. Go ahead.
Even the Lord God of hosts. The Lord is his memorial.
The Lord is his memorial. That word memorial Hebrew would be zakar. Zakar, which means to remember. The Lord is his remembrance. It means to remember something by speaking it. So the Hebrew word zakar translated memorial. Memorial sounds like something is dead, but the word Hebrew words occur there It's speaking of to remember something by speaking it. This occur. Remembering by speaking it. Okay, that's the accurate translation of the Hebrew word there is occur. Right. So we clearly just proved that he was wrestling an angel, and in Genesis he called him a man. He was dead clearly in the flesh, and he couldn't wrestle an angel. It was in his angelic form. All right. So we just proved that angels do come in the flesh. All right. Now let's prove the other thing. If they're in the flesh, let's show that they eat and drink. We're going to show that they get when they're in this fleshly body, they're subject to the passions of this body as well, and things concerning this body. Let's get the book of Genesis chapter 18. Because many people say angels don't come in the flesh. This, that, and the third. They must be reading another Bible or something. I don't know. This information has been here. Genesis chapter 18. So all this going to be a build up till we get to the ultimate thing, this Mamzer thing, which is going to be very controversial. I know already. I'm going to get some backlash. People are going to disagree. And I got to hear their verses. That they're going to please have verses to disagree, not opinion. Verses, scriptures. So Genesis chapter 18.
You're doing all right, because I ain't seen no comments in the chat just yet. So.
Oh yeah, I mean it's coming. It's coming later on, and maybe after we finish the video, you know what I'm saying? There's people who disagree, but they usually don't have verses to back up what they're saying. They usually just, disagree just to disagree because they want to be disagreeable.
Looks like Scripture's getting hit with the lawnmower tonight.
Yeah, Genesis chapter 18, let's start at verse 1. Get some context here. Verse 1 down to verse 8.
Genesis chapter 18, verse 1. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamzer. And he sat in the tent, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day.
Right, so the Lord appeared unto Abraham. So the Lord did, as we understand it as believers in Christ, that's what this was him back then. He appeared unto Abraham, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. That would be like noon. The heat of the day when the sun is the highest point would be like 12 noon. Go ahead.
And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground.
So he recognized who these men are. That's why he did that. He recognized who they were, ran from the tent door, and bowed himself toward the ground. Okay, gave him reverence. Right, pay homage. Go ahead.
And said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away. I pray thee for thy servant, from
Go
thy
ahead.
servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree.
Go ahead.
And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort your hearts. Excuse me. And comfort ye your hearts, after ye shall pass on. For therefore ye come to your servant. And they said, So do, as thou hast said.
So they're making a quick pit stop with Abraham real quick, and so they're gonna Abraham saw him and gonna get them some refreshments or something. Go ahead.
And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarai, and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal. Knead it, and make cake upon the earth. And Abraham ran unto the herd, and fetched a calf tender and good, and gave it unto a young man, and he hasted to dress it.
So Abraham is preparing them a meal. Okay, so Sarah is involved. She needing measures of meal. She's doing her part. Abraham is doing his part. Go ahead.
And he took butter and milk, and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat.
And they did eat. So he said before them butter and milk, so they were drinking, and the calf which he had dressed and prepared, and he set it before them. Say, and he stood by them under the tree. Says, and they did eat. So we see that when they come in the, when they come in their human body form, they eat and drink. Clearly, right here, these are angels. Okay, clearly, the Lord and two angels with him. Right. One more. We get to the 19th chapter. Let me get verse 1 to verse 3. So we showing here proving that angels come in their angelic form. Men cannot even stand up. They fall face first, they lose all strength. And we showing them coming in the angelic form and that they do eat and drink. Okay. So they're subject to the flesh when they come in the flesh. All right. So Genesis chapter 19, verse 1 to verse 3.
Genesis chapter 19, verse 1. And there came two angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground.
Same thing that Abraham did. So Lot recognized these two angels. These are two of the angels that left from Abraham. Because three of them came. One was there. One kind of stayed behind a little bit, talking with Abraham. When you continue reading the 18th chapter, and two of them left, and they came into Sodom. So when Lot recognized these men, and you see what he did, he bowed himself down with his face to the ground. He paid homage because he recognized. Go ahead.
And he said, behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early and go on your ways. And yet they said, nay, but we will abide in the street all night.
So they was like, no, we gonna stay outside. We good. Go ahead.
And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him and entered into the house. And he made them a feast and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat.
So here we go again. So prove angels eat. You clearly said it with angels, and here we said they eat. They ate unleavened bread. Okay. That's what they was making way back then, unleavened bread as well. All right. So we don't prove from the beginning angels changing the molecular structure with Jacob's ladder, which is a DNA ladder from spirit to flesh, flesh to spirit. We prove how they come. They're ministering spirits. That's why they're coming down like that, ministering unto those who be heir of salvation. We prove how they came in an angelic form, rarely, and we prove when they come in a fleshly form, they eat and drink and subject to the things of the flesh. All right? So now we're going to come to Genesis chapter 6, the sons of God. Because these are angels in human form. Some try to say these are not these are not angels because angels don't have sex, and like we just killed all that with what we just brought out with Jacob's ladder. That was the first portion. That smashed all that right there. That goes out the window real quick. All right. So it ain't no something crazy to say that angels slept with women now because they're here in fleshly bodies. Okay. So Genesis chapter 6, let's start at verse 1 down to verse 4. Get ready to share I'm using some screen sharing now so we can prove what we're talking about. Go ahead, brother.
Genesis chapter 6, verse 1. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose.
Right. So the sons of God came down here. We're gonna show you they came down here. It came down here and it came to that gate, to that DNA ladder, gate, came down there, changing to flesh, and took them wives of all who they chose. Okay, this is what they did. So they took all the one that was attractive. It says and that they were fair, attractive, and those are the one that they went after. Is one that they chose. Go ahead.
And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always thrive with man, but that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years.
All right. So that's the time. That's the time that the Most High allotted them to repent. All right. Not speaking of the age of was given the man to stop to die at age 120. Because there's people living way after Moses beyond 100 and beyond 120. Okay. We have a priest in the Chronicles. He lived to be 100 and I think 130. 130, 140, something like that. So way beyond 120. So this is not speaking of no age limit at all. We have testimony of people today saying that their grandparents are living to be 100 in 120s, 130. I think this last guy I just heard a couple of days ago. He said that his grandfather or his grandmother lived to be 135. This is in our time. So this is, I mean, you can Google these things too as well. People are living, even in our time, there's certain people living beyond 120. So this clearly not talking about no age limit and anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So, go ahead. Verse 4.
There were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown.
All right. So we're gonna not break down, we're gonna give the build up on this verse. All right. So it says they were giants in the earth in those days. Okay. These sons of God, these was giants, not as like tall and giants of men, but they was renowned and known. They were like strong warriors. And after that, when the sons of God, so we're not speaking now, going back to the sons of God, came in unto the daughters of men, it says, and they bear children unto them. It says the same became mighty men. So it's still speaking of the sons of God. The sons of God, they became mighty men, okay, which were of old. Let me share my screen and go of old. This is gonna go ahead and crush this nonsense about this is speaking of men, okay. Let me share my screen right quick. Share screen. Share my screen. Click on it. Share my screen. All right, here we here in Genesis chapter 6, okay? Genesis chapter 6, well, I just read it. So we're going to deal with of old. The same became mighty men which were of old. Let's get this Hebrew word here. We see here, all right, it's olam. It is speaking of the sons of God. And then there is another preposition right here too. It goes along with it as well. We're gonna read about it too as well. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna click on it. All right. It's olam. Get the definition of right here. Let's see if this fits any of the men at this time. Okay. Olam. Here we go. This is the Hebrew word study translation, punctuation, etymology, and grammar. All right. We have long duration, antiquity, futurity, forever. Okay. So these are speaking of them, which were men of old, men of long duration, antiquity, futurity, forever. This clearly ain't speaking of no men back then, because they died. It says everlasting. Who was made from everlasting, evermore, perpetual, old, ancient world of ancient time. Now, where we are at this point in Genesis chapter 6 is only been like a little over 1,000 years. You would not equate ancient time to a little over 1,000 years. We don't equate the first century, almost 2,000 years ago, as ancient. That is not considered to be ancient. Ancient goes off into, you're talking about 6, 7, 8, 10,000 years. Now that's ancient. 2,000 won't be considered. It's not ancient. These men are described as being from ancient time, long time of past, it says here, of future, forever, always, continuous existence, perpetual, everlasting, indefinite or unending future, eternity. This is speaking of the sons of God. This cannot be speaking of no earthly man, because we clearly see there was a flood that happened 120 years later, so they couldn't be speaking of them. He's speaking of the sons of God. That's why the text says at that time and after, because the flood didn't kill them, because they have eternal life. Even though they came down in their human form, they didn't lose their eternity, their eternal life. They still had it. They can switch back to spirit if they wanted to. So they had the eternal life still. Okay? They didn't lose it. That's why the verse is talking about men of old, and it's speaking of them having this eternal life. All right? Let me go down to Brown Driver's Brig, Old Testament Hebrew lexicon, English lexicon. Here's what it says. It gives you the number. H5956, properly concealed. That is the vanishing point. Generally, time out of mind. He's speaking of this. This is not speaking of no earthly man. This is speaking of angelic beings, angels who came in the flesh, past or future. That is practically eternity. You will not equate this word with no regular human being back then. Okay? And it goes on to say of free quantitative adverbally, especially with a prepositional prefix. This is the prefix that I talked about earlier, always. Okay? So it's saying that always eternity, always everlasting, always ancient, anymore, continuance, eternal. These got to be speaking of angelic beings, sons of God. So the sons of God here clearly speaking of angelic beings who came down in the flesh. So that verse there, let me go back, click on it. You can see it here. And because it's speaking of them. It says there, same became mighty men which were of old, of everlasting. Okay, then you have the prepositional right here, which says a part of, hence, from, or out of eternity, from eternity. These beings came from a place that's eternal, which will be the third heaven where God dwells. That ain't never going nowhere. That's an eternal place. Okay, that's where they came from. They was a part of this place. It was a part of Olam, is what they're saying here. They was from Olam, eternity. They were out of Olam, is what the verse is telling us in Hebrew. Clearly, this is speaking of angelic being. You cannot equate that type of verbiage here to men. It wouldn't make no sense at all whatsoever. All right? Let me stop sharing my screen so we can get back to where we were before. Proving that these sons of God are actually angels that came in the flesh. The text is telling us that in the Hebrew. From there, brother, let's go from there. And your background is kind of choppy. Sure.
I got you.
Let me stop sharing my screen. Back to where we was. Okay. From there, let's show that the sons of God, again, the text does not equate anywhere in the Old Testament about the sons of God being men. Let's get Job chapter 1. Job chapter 1, and just get verse 6. Wait till the brother get there. Job chapter 1. You only get verse. Job chapter 1, verse 6.
Job chapter 1, verse 6. Now, there was a day when the sons of God came to the present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them.
Okay, so yeah, we said it. So sons of God clearly is an angel that came before the Most High, and Hasatan, Satan, came also amongst them being the sons of God. Okay, go ahead. Verse 7.
And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it.
Okay, so the Most High asked saying, where are you coming from? I'm painting a picture that this event here is taking place in the spiritual realm in heaven. This is not taking place nowhere on earth. Okay? When they came before the Most High, this took place in heaven because the Most High asked Satan, where are you coming from? And Satan answered the Most High and said, he's coming from the earth, walking up and down it, up and through it. So he came from the earth. This is not no see taking place nowhere on earth, nowhere. Because he left that place and came somewhere else. That's where he came from, according to that verse right there, verse 7. All right? Let me jump down to let me get one more in Job. We're gonna skip the other one. Let's just get one more in Job. Let's get Job chapter 38, verse 7. So we're showing here that the sons of God always speak of angels, not speaking of no men. All right? I like to see a verse in the Old Testament, in the so-called Old Testament, that shows that the Son of God is speaking of men. What verse says that in the Old Testament? So Job 38, let's get verse 7.
Job chapter 38, verse 7. When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy.
All right, so clearly here, this is where the Most High started to frame the earth and build it. All right, and way back then, before man was even made, whereupon on the foundations thereof, verse 6, whereupon on the foundations there fastened, or who laid the cornerstone thereof, when the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Okay, before man was made. These sons of God was there. So sons of God can be speaking of men, but these angels, sons of God, clearly pre-existed men. All right. All right. From there, now we're gonna come to Jude. Let's find out what happened to these angels how they happen to come down here in Genesis chapter 6. We come all the way to the Renewed Testament. You're gonna get the book of Jude. You're gonna get verse 6. All this is gonna be our build up. Get to these Mamzers. All right, brother. Anytime you're ready, you can go.
Jude, verse 6. And the angel which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness until the judgment of the great day.
So we see here that there were angels who kept, this Greek word, this Greek word is showing you that they left behind. Let me share my screen so we can see it. All right. So we can see it. 1 second. We had to prove all. Let me share my screen. So we're in the book of Jude, and here in verse 6, right? And the angels which kept not their first estate. Okay? So they kept not their first estate. So we're gonna get and left. Let's get left. So we got this left right here. Okay. So that's Apolopio. Apolopio. I think I have it here already. No. Get Apolopio here. There it is. To leave or leave behind. Okay. They left behind spiritual realm. All right. They left that. Left the spiritual realm. Okay. It says left behind their own habitation. Go back behind verse 6, their own habitation. Okay. This word here. Hey, Rion. Hey, brother, your background is a lot out. Shuri, your background is a lot out. Okay, so it's Oike Te Rion. Okay, we got that too as well. There it is. Okay, Te Rion is habitation or dwelling place. So they left this behind. This is originally where they dwelled at, where they came from. They left that according to the text. Okay, he left that. They're coming back to the verse. They left that. So he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. So they left there to the. So clearly again, these angels have eternal life because they was chained up for what they did back in Genesis chapter 6, and they still alive to this day. So they have not been judged yet. So they're waiting for the judgment of the great day. All right. Showing you again that these angels had eternal life. These are not men because they are still alive to this day. From that time with Noah, even into our time, they are still alive. They're just locked up in everlasting chains. Okay. So you need everlasting chains for a being that has everlasting life. Okay. Clearly. All right. So from there, Shuri, if you're there, let me stop sharing my screen and come back. From there, we're going to come to the book, chapter 4. Chapter 4, we're going to get verse 8 to verse 10. Okay, so we're getting Ephesians chapter 4, verse 8 to verse 10.
Ephesians chapter 4, verse 8. Wherefore he saith, when he ascended up on high, he led captivity captive and gave gifts unto men.
So this is speaking of the Messiah when he ascended up. He ascended up, okay? He led captivity captive, right? And he gave some to men. So there were certain men in the Old Testament time that had died and resurrected. He resurrected. This would be the captivity speaking of here. He led them up with him to heaven. And he gave gifts unto men. Go ahead.
Now that he ascended, what is it? But that he also descended first into the lower parts of the earth.
So before he ascended, Paul is saying he descended first into the lower parts of the earth is where he went first before he ascended up. That's where he went down. Go ahead.
And he that descended is the same also that ascended up far above all heavens, that he might feel all things.
Right. So he, after he had descended into lower parts of the earth, he also descended above all heavens. Okay, there's two heavens here, all the way up to the third heaven, that he might fill all things. So we're going to find out, what did he do when he went down, when he descended first into lower parts of the earth. Let's get now the book of 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 18. 1 Peter chapter 3, and we're going to get verse 18 down to verse 20. So he first descended according to our brother Paul. And then Peter's going to come tell us a little bit of what transpired when he descended first.
1 Peter chapter 3, verse 18. For Christ also hath once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Spirit.
Right? Go ahead.
By which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison.
So he went to preach to those rebellious angels we just read about in Chains of Darkness. He went to go and tell them that, hey, what you guys did was off. What you guys was trying to do back then didn't work. Right? There was corrupting men, corrupting the line, what they was doing. They weren't supposed to be doing that. Right? Mixing things up, teaching men all kind of crazy stuff and mixing the line up, mixing the pedigree all up. Is what was happening. Okay? Christ told them, hey, y'all little plan didn't work. Whatever y'all trying to do didn't work. Go ahead.
Which sometimes were disobedient. When once the long suffering of God waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was a preparing, wherein few, that is, 8 souls, were saved by water.
Right. So which sometimes were disobedient, and these angels disobedient. It says when once the long suffering of God waited in the days of Noah, that's 20 years talked about what the flood came, and while the ark was being prepared, 8 people was actually saved. Okay. From there, we're going to go to let's get chapter 2, verse 4 and 5. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 4 and 5. We got a couple of more scriptures and out the sons of God. We're going to get into some answers there. All right. Get into this, man.
Peter, you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, your background, bro, is coming out too loud, bro. Scratchy or something going on.
Hold on.
Something rubbing or something.
That's crazy because I'm not using. All right. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 4. For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness, to be reserved unto judgment.
So it's clear here, speaking of angels again. All right. Go ahead.
And spared not the old world, and spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly.
Right. So here it says that Noah was a preacher of righteousness, meaning he was preaching God's law, statutes, and commandments in those 120 years for them to repent, and they didn't repent within that 120 years, and so came the flood upon them. Okay. So all that time, Noah was preaching to them that 120 years, while at the same time preparing the ark. Okay. All right. So with that, let's get 2 more and finish this out. Let's get 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 10. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 10. Okay. We finishing this out with these sons of God, that these are angels. Okay. We proving it through these verses here. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, we can get verse 10. And one more after that, we can get
1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 10. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels.
Because of the see, women need to cover up because of the angels. All right. These angels are we read about them people and angels unawares. So Paul is pointing out women need to have power over their head, meaning head covering. What he referencing, head covering, and back then it was head covering and veils covered up. Said because of the angels. All right, because if they are exposed, these angels down here in these fleshly bodies are going to make their move. So clearly, again, Paul is pointing this out. This is one of the reasons women need to cover up. All right, and get one more. It's the last one. Let's get 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 1 through 4. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 1 through 4. This Mamzer.
1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 1. Dare any of you, having a matter against another, go to the law before the unjust, and not before the saints?
So it wasn't matter going to the saints, Israelites. All right, try to clear that up. I mean, if we can, go ahead.
Do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by the saints, and if the world shall be judged, you are the unworthy. Are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters?
So it says, do ye not know that the saints judge the world? So we can judge this world. It says, and if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters? So that's not a small matter thing that can be judged. They can be judged by us. People love to say, don't judge me. What are you talking about? People make judgment calls every day. There's a whole book in the Bible called Judges. All right? So we can judge these small matters. Go ahead.
Know ye not that we shall judge angels? How much more things that pertain to this life?
Right. So things pertaining to this life we can judge, because as Paul says here, we're going to judge angels. Why? Because what they did in Genesis chapter 6. Right? That's why. If not, show me any other reason why we're going to judge angels. I need to see it in a so-called Old Testament, renewed Testament. Why are we going to judge angels? Show me what they did wrong. Why we are going to judge them? Why are we going to judge them? It has to be for what they did in Genesis, the 6th chapter. That's the only thing we have left in the book. All right. So now we're going to come up to this Mamzer. Okay, here we go with the controversy stuff. What the heck is a Mamzer? But before I read that, I want to go back to Genesis chapter 6, brother, so we can find out the reason why God sent Noah and his family. Genesis chapter 6. Go back there quick. Start from there. And we're gonna start at verse 9. Genesis chapter 6. Let's start at verse 9. Get some context here.
Genesis chapter 6, verse 9. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations. And Noah walked with God.
All right, so it says Noah was perfect in his generation and he walked with God. Okay. going the word generation is the Hebrew door. All right. And that's talking about, they go back to the beginning of the verse, and door is talking about his contemporaries. All right. In his generation, in his contemporaries, people that's living at the same time with him, in his generation, those living in a duration or period is the Hebrew word door, is what it's speaking of, his contemporaries. And the word way is direct, course of life, manner, direction of living. Okay, so he have found Noah, says perfect in his generation. Okay, and Noah walked with God. So when he comes to the word perfect, the word perfect is tamim, 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 and it means without blemish or undefiled. Okay, so Noah was a just man, keeping laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, and he was without blemish. And perfect means that he was without blemish, he was undefiled by the mixing of with the fallen angels. What was going on? They came down and had corrupted the pedigree of men. It got real rapid. Okay, so God had found him in his particular generation, found him to be uncontaminated. Right, his pedigree was remained pure in his generation, and he walked with the Most High. So this is the reason the text is pointing to us that God saving Noah, because his pedigree was unmixed. The Most High is not with mixing. We see it all the way back here in Genesis chapter 6, even before the flood. This was what it was back then. Okay, unmixed, straight from the text. Now let's get Deuteronomy chapter 23 about his Mamzer now. So I'm establishing Most High ain't with mixing. We're going to get Deuteronomy 23. We're going to get, let's get verse 1 and 2.
Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 1. He that is wounded in the stones, or hath his privy member cut off, shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord.
Right, so someone is wounded and their private part cut off, not coming to the congregation of the Lord. These people are usually put out, quarantined. They lived in a different area outside the population of the nation. Right, they were not in the population of men. But that thing is continuing, man. Whatever it is back there, you're doing is continuing. Verse 2.
A bastard shall not enter unto the congregation of the Lord.
Hold up, bro. It's a feedback there, man. I don't know what it is.
Is it still going? Man, it's these cars, bro. There was like nothing going on when we first started.
Is these who?
Cars. You know, I'm on the main street, so.
All right, so just 1 second here. All right. 1 second here. We're gonna get it. It says, so a bastard, Deuteronomy 23 and 2, a bastard shall not enter the congregation of the Lord, even to his 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of the Lord. Okay? Now, English word bastard is the Hebrew word mamzer. One definition is unlawful, illegal children of incest, illegitimate child, or born of a Jewish father and heathen mother, or vice versa. All these are the different definitions of this word. People want to pick and choose their own definition of this word, right? And according to the biblical Bible, according to the biblical text, the definition that the word it's targeting is the mixing, having children illegally with outsiders, fathering a child by a woman that's not of the nation of Israel. That's the issue that the Bible is zeroing in on. It's the mixing. All right, illegitimate child. Okay, that's illegal for you to sleep with someone outside the nation of Israel. We're gonna prove this here. I'm gonna prove this. Let's come to the book of Ezra. Ezra chapter 9. Start at Ezra chapter 9. We're gonna prove this. Right? Ezra chapter 9. We're just gonna get started with the controversy. I'm gonna share my screen in a second here. We can get the context here. We can see what's happening with this word. All right, brother. Is your thing cleared up, or no? Is it still doing the same thing?
I hope not.
All right, let's get Ezra chapter 9. Start at verse 1.
Ezra chapter 9, verse 1. Now, when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations, even of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, and the Egyptians and the Amorites.
Go ahead.
For they have taken their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, the hands of the princes and rulers have been chief in this trespass.
So clearly here we see is calling it a trespass. It's wrong. Okay, and the people who were the chief in doing this were the leaders, the princes and the rulers. There's always the people at the top, the rulers, the leaders. That's the one that's going off, and the people are watching them and following them instead of following the Most High in Christ and what the Bible say. You know, following men when they're going off. They don't want to follow men that's trying to do the right thing. They love to follow men that's going off.
Big time right now.
You know what I'm saying? So the text is calling it the holy seed because it was untainted. There was no mixing going on. The Most High is not with all this mixing. We're going to continue to read on and show this out this text clearly. Go ahead, brother.
Then were assembled unto me everyone that trembled at the words of the God of Israel, because of the transgression of those that had been carried away. And I sat astonished until the evening sacrifice.
So they all assembled. So when they were assembled unto him, everyone that trembled at the word of the Most High, because you have people that's not afraid of God. They don't fear the Most High. They don't care. So they're gonna continue to do what they do now because they don't fear God. To some of them, there is no God. You know, that's because of the transgression of those that's been carried away. And he was astonished. Go ahead.
And at the evening sacrifice, I rose up from my heaviness, and having rent my garment and my mantle, I fell upon my knees and spread out my hands unto the Lord my God.
So he's going to start to pray. Go ahead.
And said, oh my God, I am ashamed and blush to lift up my face to thee, my God, for our iniquities are increased over our head, and our trespasses grown up unto the heavens.
Okay, so here we go. Here's the verse. Go ahead.
Since the days of our fathers have we been in a great trespass until this day.
So here he's clearly saying, that since the days of our forefathers, meaning our ancestors, have we been in a great trespass unto this day. See, the trespass they talked about in verse 2 was them mixing with these other nations. See, this been going on since from the forefathers. We can trace this going all the way back. This goes all the way back to when Israel, part of it when we became a nation, but we see we didn't have to do certain things. We know because Jacob was caught up in Joseph's death. He kept, crying about that. He was neglecting his fatherly duties to find his sons' wives from their kindred back in Mesopotamia. So they was like getting older and they started going finding their own women. But the Most High eventually cleaned up most of the line by the time they exit out of Egypt. I'm gonna read it. Okay? So he's saying here clearly we've been in this trespass going all the way back. This mixing with these other nations has been happening going all the way back. And the Most High told Abraham not to do that. That's why he found a wife for his son Isaac from their kindred. Jacob, the same thing. Okay? So the Most High is not with the mixing. And I'm gonna get these verses. Okay? I want to now jump to. I want to leave that verse there, but I want to jump to chapter 10. Jump to the 10th chapter because I want to show and prove that what's happening here was done by the Most High God. This was not from Ezra, from the Most High God. The Most High God is telling him to do this for them to separate from these strange women and the child, and send the child away too as well. So Ezra chapter 10, and let's start at verse 1 to give some context.
Ezra chapter 10, verse 1. Now, when Ezra had prayed, and when he had confessed, weeping, and casting himself down before the house of God, there assembled unto him out of Israel very great congregation of men and women and children. For the people wept very sore.
Go ahead.
And Shechaniah, the son of Jehiel, one of the sons of Elam, answered and said unto Ezra, we have trespassed against God,
our God,
and have taken. Well, we have trespassed against our God, and have taken strange wives of the people of the land. Yet now there is hope in Israel concerning this thing.
See, there is a remedy. There is a remedy. There is something we can do to rectify the situation. Go ahead.
Now, therefore, let us make a covenant with our God to put away all the wives, and such are born of them, according to the counsel of my Lord, and those that tremble at the commandment of our God. Let it not be done according to the law.
Let it be done. Let it be done according to the law. So it's done according to the law, which is the
Let
Torah.
It be done according to the law.
Right. So they're doing it according to the law of God. This is not something that Ezra is making up. Now let's prove it. Let me get my screen and show this. All right. I want to come here now to the.
Thank you for correcting that. Beat me up all up.
Come here now to the. Come down to the. So we see here clearly that the Mazarites, or the Sohifrim, they changed. It says here, the 134 passages where the Sohifrim altered the Most High's name to Adonai the Lord. Originally, it had the Most High name there, and they altered it. So we're in Ezra chapter 10, and we're in verse 3. Let's see if they altered God's name there. And we can come around and highlight it so we can see it. There it is right here. This one of the places where they changed it. Originally, what it says right there, according to the council of Yahweh, God's name was there. They changed it to Adonai to make people think that it was Ezra that was doing it. But originally the text had in there God's name. God was the one told them to put away the strange woman and the child. God told him to do this. So if God is telling them to put away the woman and the child, it sounds like he's saying that that child is not an Israelite. Because he's saying put the child away too. God is not with mixing. According to God, the child to be sent away. And that can reflect back to the law again where he sent away Ishmael away. Even though Ishmael was Abraham's seed, he was sent them away. The other ones still was well from Keturah, sent them away. They were not from his wife. Those were concubines. They were sent away. Same thing God is doing it here. They're not in God's plan as far as what he's trying to establish through the nation of Israel. So God is the one that told Ezra, according to the counsel of God, to send them away, and it was done according to the law. So please stop, whoever is saying it, stop saying that Ezra was the one that came up with this, and Ezra was saying this shows you clearly here that this was from the Most High God to send away that woman and the child. Now, I know today they're not going to do this. Let me stop sharing. Now, I know today they're not going to do this. They don't have it in them to do this. You know what I'm saying? And there is a way you can deal with, you can deal with the woman and the child and have child support and what's going on and so on and so forth and deal with it. I know today you just can't up and leave your child up and leave the woman like that. The country we're living in, you can't do that here. You know what I'm saying? I'm just coming out of the text and showing you we shouldn't be doing it. So let's learn now what it is, and let's stop continuing that cycle. Let's end it. Okay, let's stop the mixing. Let's stop going outside our nation and dealing with women outside of our nation. Speaking to all the men and women too. Stop dating and getting with people outside your nation. Shut that down. God is not with this mixing and stuff. Let me prove it so we can see it out the Bible. God is not with that. Let me come to the book of Deuteronomy first of all, brother. Deuteronomy chapter 32. Deuteronomy 32. Let me pull these verses here right quick to prove this. Remember, it was God that tell Ezra and Nehemiah and them to send away that woman and the child, it says. Don't forget that part. And the child. Deuteronomy 32. And let's start at verse 7. I'm going to get these verses here.
Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 7. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will shew thee. He will shew thee thy elders, and they will tell thee.
So he said, go back. Remember the days of old. Go way back. The years of many generations. You can even speak to your father because these things have been spoken of and passed down verbally. Okay? And they're going to show you. Speak to the elders. They're going to tell you. All right, go ahead.
When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of children of Israel.
Okay, so we see clearly here when God was dividing the nations, the inheritance. So wherever a nation was at, God was the one that set their location in the earth. Okay, after the flood, God was the one that allocated where the sons of Noah and their descendants were supposed to be dwelling at. God did that. Okay, it says when he separated the sons of Adam, the descendants of Adam, that line. So God separated them. He didn't integrate them. He was the one from the beginning that separated them. We see he separated Adam and Eve from the people outside the garden. He separated here after the flood again. He separated them. All right. And he set the bounds of the people according to the number, and accurately supposed to be the sons of God. It's not the children of Israel, it's the sons of God. So says in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I think also in the Septuagint says the exact same thing. Okay, so when he set the boundaries, the inheritance boundaries according to the sons of God, there was 70 nations, and so there was also 70 angels set up over these different nations for them to follow the God's law, statutes, and commandments, right? But again, these angels again wanting to get worship, any different thing. You can read in the writings um, of Sumer, of the Sumerians. They tell you that they was a god that was over them that taught them certain things. It was a god that came down from the sky that taught them these things. They left these things in their writings and they worship these beings. And these beings was warring with each other too as well. All right, it was over these different nations. They was warring with them as well. So, and we see this clearly in the book of Daniel. Book of Daniel shows us this fact as well. When Gabriel came to give Daniel the message, he had to fight with the prince of Persia and then with the prince of Grecia. These are angels over these different kingdoms. And even to this day, this thing is still consistent. Okay. And we have for our prince over us will be the Archangel Michael. All right. So we clearly see here God is separating them from the beginning. Separated sons of Adam. I want to come to the book of Leviticus, the 20th chapter. They get Leviticus chapter 20. They get some more separation here. This is what God is doing. People are trying to ignore what God is trying to do. They're trying to do their own thing. They're trying to integrate all this stuff going on. Where God is, we see clearly here, he's separating. Separating. Leviticus chapter 20. Let me get verse 24. And then down to verse 26.
Leviticus chapter 20, verse 24. But I have said unto you, ye shall inherit the land.
Their land.
And I shall give, excuse me. But I have said unto you, ye shall inherit their land, and I will give it unto you to possess it, a land that floweth with milk and honey. I am the Lord, your God, which have separated you from the other people, from other
See that?
people.
He have separated them. He has separated Israel from the other people. Separated him. He did that. He's doing that. All right. So again, he's not with the mixing. He's not with the Mamzer thing. The definition of the mixing of the Mamzer is what the Bible is targeting. He's not with mixing when you're marrying outside the nation. Okay, go ahead. Jump to verse 26.
Leviticus 20, verse 26. And ye shall be holy unto me, for I, the Lord, am holy, and have served you from other
Severed.
people, severed you from other people, that ye should be mine.
So we see here, he's been going into a surgical term. He's severed us from other people, that we should be his. Okay, severed us from other people. Now let's get clear about the other people. What does it mean, the other people? Is it some people or all people? Let's get it clarity. Let's get 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 53. 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 53. What's separate from other people? What other people? What's the context between the other people? You're going to get it in 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 53.
1 Kings chapter 8, verse 53. For thou didst separate them from among all the people of the earth
So
to be thine inheritance.
So here he separated them from among all the people of the earth. The other people would be for all the people of the earth. All of them. Not some of them, not most of them, all of them. Separated them from all the people of the earth. Go ahead.
To be thine inheritance, as thou spakest by the hand of Moses, thy servant, when thou broughtest our fathers out of Egypt, O Lord God.
So we just read in Leviticus, that's when he was coming out of Egypt, where he separated us. And here we see Solomon making it clear that the severing or separating was from all people of the earth, everybody. Okay, God is not wants people to mix with these other people at all whatsoever. Okay, let me come to the book of Exodus. Let's get Exodus chapter 12. When Israel is coming out now of Egypt. Let's see, Exodus chapter 12. Let's see. Make sure. Oh, 1 second here. Exodus chapter. What is it? Wrong book. Yeah, Exodus chapter 12. And let's get verse 37.
Exodus chapter 12, verse 37. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramesses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot that were men, besides children.
We see that the children of Israel, how many it was with the men was about 600,000 on foot. All right, that were men and besides children, of course, and women. Go ahead.
And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle.
Right. So then there was also a small little mixed multitude that went up also with them. Who them? Israel. Okay. So in Egypt, we were there for 215 years, according to the text of the Bible, according to the math of the Bible. It was not 430 years in Egypt. It was only 215. The math of the Bible proves this. Okay. So within that time frame, God was cleaning up the nation of Israel. He was cleaning them up because they came in there and they had married some Canaanites and so on and so forth. So he was in there. He was in there cleaning up the Israelites. This could be one of the reasons why you see the Israelite babies. A lot of them was probably being put to death because they were probably Mamzer children. There's probably Mamzer children from them mixing with Canaanite women and stuff. And the Most High was allowing that line to die out, or he'd allowing the Egyptians to drown those children because it was probably mixed Mamzer babies. You know what I'm saying? Cleaning up the line and making it pure once again, coming out. Okay? Because again, he's not with mixing, right? So we see later on that these mixed multitude, they actually died out. All right? Let's get that to prove that they died out. So we was left with full-blooded Israelites. You know what I'm saying? At a certain point in the wilderness when these mixed people had died out. Let's get Numbers chapter 11, I think it is. These mixed multitude at some point died out. Okay. Numbers chapter 11. Let's get verse 4.
Numbers chapter 11, verse 4. And the mixed multitude that was among them fell and lusted, fell a lusting. And the children of Israel also wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat?
So it started with the mixed multitude. They both the one up there. They fell a lusting, and then they're going to go entice Israel to go ask for flesh, and here they go acting crazy, you know. So they wanted flesh. The Lord gave them. What was upset with them? Gave them flesh, And let's get to the point. Let's get to the end of it. Let's jump down to verse. Let's get to verse 34, right to the point.
Numbers chapter 11, verse 34. And he called the name of that place Kirbroth,
Hot,
Hatava,
uh,
Kirbroth Hatava, because there they buried the people that lusted.
so we see that would be the mixed multitude, and whoever of Israel who joined them and dealt with them, they died. Okay, so this is where the mixed multitude would have died out in the wilderness there, according to those two verses there in Numbers, the 11th chapter. Okay, so we have that there, and then we have another. Then as we read earlier, where Israel just kept doing it, we see that one of the Israelite men from Judah went and married Rahab. He went and married Rahab. I think it was Salmon. Salmon went and married Rahab and had Boaz. Boaz's mother is this Canaanite woman. That's his mother. The Canaanite woman from, I'm forgetting her name, from Jericho, that the spies went and made a deal with. So Boaz is a Mamzer. Boaz is mixed. And also he slept with Ruth, and his son Obed will also be mixed as well. These are Mamzers. And then we see after that, the line is not recorded. It ain't recorded for another 450 years. The line has stopped being recorded. Let's get it. We can prove what I'm saying. Let's get the book of Ruth so we can show this in the book. We're going to show this in the book of Ruth. Let me get this woman's name right quick. The one that got this. Rahab. It's Rahab the harlot. One of the men who slept with her. See, it's clearly in the book of Ruth, chapter 1. Verse 1.
Ruth, chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled.
All right, stop right there. We want to go with, so Ruth is dealing with when the judges rule, not dealing with the book of Judges where you have an individual judge that ruled. This is when the judges ruled. Okay, this would be before the book of Judges. All right, right after the book of Joshua, in between the book of Joshua and the book of Judges, this was where Ruth will take place chronologically when the judges ruled. Okay, we're gonna prove this. Let's first get Deuteronomy. The reason why I'm coming here because I know people are gonna go jump on Boaz. They're gonna jump on Obed. It was in David's line, and Obed was supposed to be Jesse's father, which Obed is not Jesse's father. This is not Jesse's father. The line shuts down right there. It's unrecorded. If you put it on a timeline, you can clearly see that right after Obed, the line shuts down. We're gonna show this right now, as a matter of fact. Okay, and the line will pick up again till you get to Jesse, which is about 450 years in the future. The line is left unrecorded for that long till the line gets cleaned up and gets back into Jesse, into David. All right. So Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 18. Let's show us on a timeline here. Deuteronomy chapter 16, let's read verse 18.
Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 18. Judges and officers shalt thou make thee in all thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee throughout thy tribes. And they shall judge the people with just judgment.
All right. So in the law, it was commanded to make judges in their gates. Okay. So again, Ruth begins when the judges ruled, right? Not the individual judges in the book of Judges where they rule one after the other. This was more than one judges that was ruled. The judges, it says they were the S. So I want to come to the book of Ruth. We'll read this out of the book of Ruth. I mean, not of Ruth, sorry. Out of the book of Judges, in the beginning of it. Right? To give us a brief history before we start the breakdown and we get to the individual judges. Okay? It speaks of this. Let's get Judges chapter 2, verse 17. Judges chapter 2, we're going to get verse 17 and I think verse 18. The beginning of the book.
No, my bad.
Go ahead, brother.
Judges chapter 2, verse 17. And yet they would not hearken unto their judges.
See, they said when they had the judges that was made from Joshua, they wouldn't hearken unto their judges that was there. They wasn't listening to them. Okay, this is when the judges ruled, but Israel wasn't listening to the judges. This is the time frame of Ruth. Go ahead.
But they went a whoring after other gods, and bowed themselves unto them. They turned quickly out of the way which their fathers walked in, obeying the commandments of the Lord, but they did not so.
Right. So that's why you see in Judges, you see that they had migrated away because it was a famine, because it was being wicked, and they migrated away, went into the land over there where there were some Moabites were. They were married outside the nation, going against the commandments. When they marry out the nation, marry Ruth and her sister and whatnot, and then the text just abruptly, like, they die. Those two men, their husband of Ruth and her sister, they just died. It's probably dealing with all kind of idols and stuff, like it says right here, going against the commandments. Just abruptly died, and now they just left alone. You know what I'm saying? So she migrates back. So again, you have people that are trying to say that Ruth is an Israelite. I did a class on my channel that disproved that emphatically, that's a lie. You're arguing with the Hebrew and you're arguing with chronology in the text. There is no way. See, you can't argue all of that. You can argue time frames and the text itself, all of that. Come on, it would make no sense. I don't see no Israelite at that time would be confused about who they were at the time of Ruth or Judges. We all knew who we were. We wasn't scattered at that time. You can't be calling an Israelite at that time a Moabitess at that time. That won't make any sense. Okay? That's just dumb as ever. We wasn't scattered there. All right? So they wasn't obeying their judges at that time. They went out of the way. Let's get verse 18.
And when the Lord raised them up, judges, then the Lord was with the judge and delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of their judge, of the judge.
So then the Lord they were going to captivity for disobeying, under that, not obeying their judges. It's the time of Ruth here. Then after that, they would go into captivity for a certain period of time. And then the Lord would have to go send a singular judge now to deliver them out of the hands of their enemies all the days of that particular judge. That's when you get into the book of Judges to the individual judges. Okay, so this is giving you a little bit of background right before you get to the individual judges, that this is what happened, why we got into that mess about going to captivity, disobeying our judges, lining up Ruth as being in the beginning of the book of Judges and right at the end of Joshua. Okay, go ahead, brother.
For it repented the Lord because of their groanings by reason. For it repented the Lord because of their groanings by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them.
All right, so we see clearly there. All right, so that's how you get into the individual judges. But Ruth chronologically is placed before the book of Judges according to the text itself. All right, so let's come back to Ruth now right quick. Let's get to the end of Ruth and get some time situation here to prove what I am saying. Let's get Ruth chapter 4, and let's start at verse 16.
Ruth chapter 4, verse 16. And Naomi took the child and laid it in her bosom and became nurse unto it.
Go ahead.
And the women, her neighbors, gave it a name, saying, there is a son born to Naomi. And they called his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David.
Okay, so it says right here that Obed means servant. It says that he is the father. In Hebrew, there is no word for great, 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 nothing like that. It's just going to be just going to be father of Jesse, um, the father of David. So we don't place the book of Ruth on a timeline in the beginning of the book of Judges. So this is where Ruth step in. So if we come in here, so we here at the beginning of Judges here, when Obed is being born, birth right here, and then it skips all the way to Jesse, the father of David. We need to get some time with how long was the book of Judges, because that's what comes between Obed, and Jesse. Jesse will be contemporaries with David's father. I mean, Jesse will be contemporary with Saul, who was king before David. Okay, they be in the same line. So we see that after Ruth, we have Samuel, then you have the first king, and then you get to David. All right. So we want to come to see how long was the book of Judges to find out, because it's jumping the entire book of Judges, and it's coming, and then it's jumping Saul, and it's jumping to Saul time, it's jumping Samuel, and it's jumping all the way to Saul, which would be the time of Jesse. We want to come to the New Testament to find out how long the book of Judges was. You can even read in the book of Judges where a version that tells you was like 300 years was one timeline put in there. But I want to come to the book of Acts chapter 13. Let our brother Paul tell us how long was the book of Judges. All right, you have Acts the 13th chapter. I want to come to verse 16 down to verse 21.
Acts chapter 13, verse 16. Then Paul stood up and beckoning with his hand said, men of Israel, and ye that fear God, give audience.
So this is for those that fear God, okay? Because again, a lot of people don't fear the Most High. Go ahead.
The God of this people, of Israel, chose our fathers and exalted the people when they dwelt as strangers in the land of Egypt, and with a high arm brought them out of it.
Go ahead.
And about the time of 40 years, suffered he their manners in the wilderness.
So we accurate here with the time in the wilderness was 40 years. Go ahead.
And when he had destroyed 7 nations in the land of Canaan, he divided their land to them by lot.
Go ahead.
And after that, he gave unto them judges about the space of 450 years unto Samuel the prophet.
Right. So Samuel the prophet was the last individual judge. Okay. So the book of Judges spanned, according to our brother Paul here, for 450 years. So if Ruth is placed in the beginning of Judges, how do you jump all the way to Jesse after Samuel? You jump in a 450-year gap. That means the lineage had stopped being recorded right after Obed. and then it skips all the way to Jesse to the time of Saul. All right, clearly there's a 450-year gap there at least. Go ahead, brother.
And afterward, they desired a king, and God gave unto them Saul, the son of Cis, a man of the tribe of Benjamin, by the space of 40 years.
Then we have another 40 years here of Saul reigning. Okay, so that's 490 years automatically right there. There is no line being recorded there at all whatsoever. So we see that again, the line was corrupted and mixed, and the Lord took that time out there to clear the line up, to clean it up. By the time it got to Jesse, David's father, the line was back full-blooded Israelite. It was cleared up again. We see the same thing happen again when we was in Egypt. The line was cleared up in 250 years. Not
You good? Well, I don't know what happened to the brother. He must have got disconnected.
I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah, Satan working, bro. Can it push me out? I'm back though.
Con.
Hey, what's the last thing you heard I said before I got cut off?
Good one. We were on the space of the 40 years being 490 years space gap. So
Okay, so we finished off in the book of Acts.
time.
All right, I want to come back to Ruth chapter 4. Like Ruth chapter 4. I want to show us another way to show what I'm saying is true, that Ruth do land in the book right in the end of Joshua, in the beginning of Judges. I'm going to show this another way. If you don't see it that way, I'm sure right here within the names tells you this. Okay? So Ruth chapter 4, we in verse 18.
Ruth chapter 4, verse 18. Now these are the generations of Phares. Phares begot Hezron, and Hezron begot Ram, and Ram begot Amminadab, and Amminadab begot Nishan, and Nishan begot Solomon.
Stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we can see clearly right here now. So we're dealing with the Phares line of the tribe of Judah. All right, so Phares begot Hezron. Hezron would be.
I'm right here.
Hezron would be. Hezron will be where coming into Egypt with Jacob. Then in Egypt he begot Aram, and Aram begot Amminadab, and then Amminadab begot Nishan. Okay, so Nishan, he's in the wilderness. Let me prove this. Nishan is in the wilderness, right? In the beginning of the 40-year sojourn, Nishan is there at the beginning of this 40-year sojourn, coming out of Egypt. Let's get the book of Numbers, chapter 2, verse 3. Let's get Numbers, chapter 2, verse 3. We're going to show Nishan in the wilderness. All right? We're going to see Nishan in the wilderness. and he had begot Salmon. So Nashan is probably going to die in the wilderness. One of the men that died in the wilderness, and his son Solomon is the one that made it out. He was probably one of the men that went to go and spy out Jericho and made that deal with Rahab. Okay?
Numbers chapter 2, verse 3.
Go ahead.
And on the east side, toward the rising of the sun, shall they of the standard of the camp of Judah pitch throughout their armies, and Nashan, the son of Aminadab, shall be captain of the children of Judah.
So we see Nashan here. See, he's in the wilderness. He's the son of Aminadab. We just read that. So he's in the wilderness at the beginning of the 40-year sojourn, and he was a captain, meaning he was in the army, and it was the men of the army that died in the wilderness that rebelled against God. They wanted so Nishan died in the wilderness before he sojourned. Then his son Solomon would have came out. Okay, let's go back. Let's come back now to Ruth. Solomon would have came out. Let's get Ruth chapter 20. Let's get Ruth chapter 4, verse 20. So we see now in the book of Joshua, this would where you would see Solomon would end up. Solomon would be in the book of Joshua, leading into the book of Ruth. And it is not clear where it says it, but I think that Solomon was the one that married. I think another verse that tells us that Solomon was the one that married Rahab. But go ahead, go back. So Ruth chapter 4, verse 20.
Ruth chapter 4, verse 20. And Aminadab begat Nashan, and Nashan begat Salmon.
So Solomon would be coming out the wilderness in the book of Joshua, and all the wars of Joshua going off, and then to the death of Joshua. And then now you in the beginning of the book of Ruth, verse 21.
And Salmon begat Boaz, and Boaz begat Obed.
So clearly we can see here, this is accurately, Boaz will be in the book of Ruth, placed in the book of Ruth within the beginning of the book of Judges, right at the end of Joshua. The names here tell us that clearly here. So Boaz is in Ruth. Ruth is placed in the beginning of the book of Judges, and then he has Obed, all in the book of Ruth in the beginning of Judges, before the individual judges rule. And then it says that Obed begot Jesse, which couldn't be correct because the Judges was 450 years long. The line has jumped from Obed all the way to Jesse. The line was unrecorded after Obed because it was mixed. It needs to be cleared up. That's why it's left unrecorded until it got cleared up again when you reach Jesse. It took 450 years to clear it up. The Most High eventually cleared it up. Okay? So we see that clearly. Again, God is not with mixing. The definition of the word Mamzer is what the Bible is dealing with as mixing from a Mamzer standpoint. Those other definition brothers are trying to deal with. They're not dealing with the text. God is not with mixing. And again, he sent away the strange woman and the child. That was from God. I proved it earlier that God did that. That was not Ezra and Nehemiah doing. God did that. All right. So anyone is against that, you're going against God. Your problem ain't with me. Your problem is with the text of the Bible. Okay. Let me get some more verses. Here. We went through the separating and all this other stuff. Okay. I want to come to the book. Let's deal with Moses' children. Can that be a question that pops up? Well, what about Moses' children who were clearly mixed? Okay, let's come to 1 Chronicles chapter 23. Let's deal with some of these mixed people. I'm going to deal with Solomon's son. Rehoboam, because Rehoboam is makes his mother's an Ammonite. People have to go there. Well, Rehoboam sat on the throne after Solomon. He said this and that. Yeah, whatever. I can dispel that. That's not easy to dispel either. So we're gonna do it first with Moses' children. All right, Moses' children. First Chronicles chapter 23. I want to get verse 12. Starting at verse 12. Okay. Let's start with Moses' children. What the Bible says about Moses' children. First Chronicles 23. And we can start at verse 12.
First Chronicles 23, verse 12.
Wait, give me one second, brother. All right, go ahead.
The sons of Kohath: Aram, Izhar, Hebron, Uziel, 4. The sons of Amram, Aaron and Moses. And Aaron was separated, that he should sanctify the most holy things, he and his sons forever, to burn incense before the Lord, to minister unto him, and to bless in his name forever.
So we see here clearly here that out of the sons of Amram, Moses and Aaron was the one that was separated. Okay, he was set apart. All right, that he should minister to the holy things. It says, and he and his sons forever, not Moses sons. Moses was under Mamzer. He was able to come into the temple, but his sons could minister into the temple. His sons couldn't because they were Mamzer. They was mixed. I'm gonna read about his sons as well too. If I get time to get there, we're gonna deal with the rest of his sons. I got to pull this information up. Okay. Verse 14.
Now concerning Moses, the man of God, his sons were named of the tribe of Levi.
Okay, so I want to get this information here because brothers want to come here and say, well, see, they were Levites. Moses' son was Levi. Let's get into the Hebrew. Let me pull it up here and share my screen. All right, so we can see clearly what the text actually says from the Hebraic portion of it. Let me come to First Chronicles, chapter 23. We're going to pull this verse up here, what it says. Get verse 14. So it just can be shown as well. 1 second. I get the wrong Second Chronicle. Okay, First Chronicles, chapter 24. And we're going to get verse. First Chronicles 23. Okay, First Chronicles. Let me get First Chronicles 23. We're going to get verse 14. Let me share my screen. 1 second here. I'm going to show this from the Hebrew. Right? Okay, we're in First Chronicles 23. We're going to read verse 14 again. So now concerning Moses, the man of God, his sons were named of the tribe of Levi. We're going to get were named right here. I want to click on it. Wait 1 second. I need to get this in Hebrew. See. Let me go back out of here. Let me get it from the Hebrew. That was from the Greek. Let me get it in the Hebrew. And First Chronicles 23. Everybody can see it. Let me get verse 14. Is what it was. Going to read it here. Now concerning Moses, the man of Elohim, his sons were named. Let's get it. The name is Korah. I'm going to click on it. It's going to bring the definition. Korah. Okay. To call out or recite or to read out or to proclaim. They would just call that. Let me go back and get the stem it was in. We here in 24, we see Korah next to it. It gives you the stem. The stem is the fall stem. Niphl. This is the stem it is in. We're going to come back and we're going to get the stem that is in. There's a different stem here. See, you got the fall stem right here. Let me highlight it. This is the fall stem is in. And the self to call oneself. This is what it says. This is the stem that is in. Or to be called. Okay, so they was calling themselves by the tribe of Levi. Levi wasn't calling them Levites. They was calling themselves Levites. That's what the Hebrew word is they're telling us according to this verb stem that is in. To call oneself is what it's telling us that was going on there. They was calling themselves by the tribe of Levi, but they was not, according to the Hebrew. Okay, that's there. Again, because they Mamzers, they cannot officiate in God's temple because they're mixed. All right, let me stop sharing. Let me come back. I want to come to the book of Judges, brother. Let me show this. Come to the book of Judges. Let me see. Can I get this? I forgot to pull this portion up here. Got to pull this portion up here. Man, we starting. We getting kind of late. What is it? We're about 2 hours in.
2:21.
Felt like it's longer. For real. All right, so we're gonna come to the book of.
Gonna have to be very thorough, brother.
Come to the book of Judges. We just have to have this information recorded so we can definitely come back and jump to it. Judges chapter 18. Judges the 18th chapter, and then get verse 30.
Judges chapter 18, verse 30. And the children of Dan set up the graven image. And Jonathan, the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, he and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of the captivity of the land.
Right. So we see here again. This is another place where the Ephraim changed the text again. We're gonna show this. It says, and the children of Dan set up graven images, and Jonathan, the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh. This was originally the son of Moses. Okay, clearly, because Manasseh didn't have no son named Gershom. We're gonna prove this right quick. Manasseh had no son named Gershom, but Moses did. Moses had a son named Gershom. This is Moses' line. This is Moses' line here. It says, and he and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of the captivity of the land. Now, Manasseh is not no priest. Can't be no priest. This priest would have to be people from the tribe of Levi. So that's strike one right there already. Strike one, Manasseh was priest. Stop it. That would make no sense at all whatsoever. All right. So clearly that's wrong. Let's get the book of let's get Joshua first and show this. Joshua chapter 17. Let me get verse 1 and 2. We're gonna show Manasseh. Manasseh didn't have no son named Gershom. All right. This is Moses. They altered it from Moses to Manasseh. This is what they did. I'm trying to pull up the writing that shows this online. This is the last part of this lesson. I did not forgot to pull this information up. Let's get Joshua chapter 17, verse 1 and 2 though. Let's read that first about Manasseh's line.
Hold on, brother.
All right, take your time, brother. No rush. 17. Joshua 17. Yeah, start at verse 1 and 2. And try to pull this information up. right, let me know when you're there, brother.
17,
Verse 1 and 2.
verse 1 and 2. Joshua chapter 17, verse 1. There was also a lot for the tribe of Manasseh, for he was the firstborn of Joseph. To wit, for Mecher, the firstborn of Manasseh.
So his firstborn of Manasseh is Machir. It's not no Gershom. Go ahead.
And the father of Gilead, because he was a man of war. Therefore, he had Gilead and Bashan.
Go ahead.
There was also a lot for the rest of the children of Manasseh by their families, for the children of Abiezer, and for the children of Helek, and for the children of Azriel, and for the children of Shesham, and for the children of Hefer, and for the children of Shemitah. These were the male children of Manasseh, the sons of Joseph by their families.
Not a son here named Gershom. None. See that? So that can't be Manasseh that's there in the text when you read Judges. There's no son. Manasseh had no son named Gershom, period. Now let me share my screen right quick because I found it. Let me share my screen and show this. They altered the text again. Okay. There it is right here. We're in the book of Judges, the 18th chapter. Okay, he's going to speak on Manasseh. I want to highlight it. I don't want to read the whole thing. I just want to highlight the portion right here where it said that they changed it. Okay. This is the portion where they changed it. All right. If I want to get into it, just a little bit of portion of it right here. It says this word Manasseh, it says, speaking of the verse there in verse 30, Manasseh, the word is one of the four that had a suspended letter. Here, the letter is the noon. Is written partly in the line and partly above the line to show that originally it formed no part of the word, but it was put to make it spell Manasseh instead of Moses. Okay, Jonathan was the grandson of Moses, his contemporary Phinehas, the grandson of Aaron, being mentioned in chapter 20, verse 28. This was done for two reasons: to spare the honor of Moses' memory and name, and it goes on to put the sin upon one who committed so gross a sin by mixing. Okay, it's what it says. I'm not going with this Talmud stuff here, but you can go ahead and read it. This comes out of the source here. It comes out of the companion Bible, the book of Judges, chapter 18, verse 30. This will be right here. You can probably just Google this and verify this as well. They're telling you in the text originally it said Moses. Okay, this is where it is. I'm showing and proving it right here. So, and we see here, let me stop sharing it. Get back to the thing. So we see here back in Judges chapter 18, verse 30, that they were priests, it says, to the tribe of Dan, it says, until the captivity of the land. So from this point, they will still be priests to one tribe of Dan until the captivity under the Assyrians. Okay, so that's Moses' line. They did not officiate in the temple because they were Mamzers. They couldn't officiate in the temple. All right, so we just show and prove that according to the text. God is not with mixing, and they will put away, as it says, they cannot come into God's congregation. These people were literally separated from the populace. They was put in a different area to live, just like people were lepers. Lepers was quarantined from the general population as well. They lived separated again outside. So Mamzers would be the same thing. They would be separated from the general population and live differently, living in another area. They would be in the land, but they would not be in the general congregation or the population of Israel. Same thing with someone who has their private wounded. We read it in Deuteronomy 23. They would be separated.
God.
People talk about we send them away from Israel. No, you don't send them away or get out of here and go to a different land. No, you would just separate it. Like today in this country, we don't see people who are considered to be like smaller midgets or whatnot. They're like kind of separated from the populace. You don't really see them in the overall populace. You might see them he's a different, but they're really kind of separated, so on and so forth. And other people with special needs, they kind of separated in a different school or something, or on a different bus. They kind of separate them. So it's the same thing here going on with mixed people. Back in the days of Israel, they were just separated. They was not kicked out the land, but just basically separated. So that's what dealing with. So Mamzer is dealing with that. So from there, I want to come into let me get Isaiah 29 and 22, because a lot of this stuff is not being read. You know, like I said, the suggestion of the Bible is kind of saying that a Mamzer is clearly not a full-blooded Israelite, and according to the Most High, there's certain functions that they would not be able to do. Priestly function is completely ruled out. So guerrilla Hebrew can't be doing no priestly function. Teaching is a priestly function. He shouldn't be teaching. Mamzers didn't teach, according to this Bible. They didn't. All right. Oh, now before I forget, before we read this, I'm supposed to deal with Solomon's son Rehoboam, because they said, well, Rehoboam, mom is an Ammonite. He's a Mamzer, and he sat on the throne. Let's get the law on that, so we can clear that up right quick. Let's get Deuteronomy 17 again. For some reason, like, people just forget when the law says something and men don't do it. They act like what they do is correct and God is sanctioning what they're doing when it clearly goes against his law. Deuteronomy 17. Let's find out how he's supposed to get the king. Show you that Rehoboam not supposed to sit on that throne at all. Deuteronomy 17. Let's start at verse 14 to get some context here.
Deuteronomy 17, verse 14. When thou art come unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shalt possess it, and shalt dwell therein, and shalt say, I will set a king over me, like as the nations that are about me.
So they want to get a king now. So God gonna tell them how to proceed to do that. Go ahead.
Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose.
So the first criteria is God have to choose this king. You can't find nowhere where God chose Rehoboam to sit on the throne after Solomon. He's just not there, because he's a Mamzer. God would never chose him. All right? God is not with the mixing. The first criteria to the king got to be chosen by God. We know God chose Saul. We know he chose David. We know he chose Solomon. There is no scripture that said that he specifically chose Rehoboam. All right? Rehoboam was not chosen by God, first of all. So that's a violation of Torah. He was not supposed to be sitting on the throne. On top of that, he was not even Solomon's firstborn. All right? Go ahead.
Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother.
All right, so the person has to be a Israelite. You can't set a stranger over there. Rehoboam he's a half-breed, half-blood, Mamzer. Okay, he's not chosen by God. So those are the criteria we see there in choosing a king. Got to be chosen by God, and it's got to be of Israelite stock. Okay, and according to what God's law, Rehoboam's mother and him would have been sent away, according to what we read in Ezra and Nehemiah, because God told him to do that. Just like what God told Abraham to send away Hagar and Ishmael, Rehoboam would have been sent away, him and his mom. He wouldn't be able to sit on the throne. They've been sent away. Because God even told, let's read this here in 1 Kings, bro, because God told Solomon to not do that. Make it even worse, God told him not to do that. His son would have been sent away. Getting Mamzers. 1 Kings chapter 11. We know how wicked Rehoboam was. I even got to go read about him. He's Mamzer. Illegitimate to sit on the throne of Israel. He should have been sent away, him and his mom, according to the text. All right, you got it, brother. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1.
Come. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites.
So Ammonites are mentioned here. That's where Rehoboam's mother comes from. She's an Ammonite. Go ahead.
Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love.
Right, in lust. Clave unto these in lust. Okay? That's accurately what the Hebrew word ahab there is speaking of. He cleaved unto them in lust because God told him not to do that. All right? He was dealing with lust and dealing with making alliances, marrying kings, princesses for alliances. So king was trying to marry their daughter to him for alliances with Solomon because at that time, Solomon had the power, had the army. All right? Had the wisdom, had all the money. So everybody wanted to be attached to Solomon. And God told him not to do that, and he did it anyway. Okay? So make it even worse, like God told him to mess with an Ammonite. He goes against it. He has a children by an Ammonite. How now would that Ammonite able to sit on the throne legitimately after God told him not to do that? That wouldn't make any sense. If Solomon listens to God, Rehoboam's mother would not be an Ammonite. So their argument is that he disobeyed God, had a children outside what God told him not to do, and then God going to sanction this man to sit on the throne. Right. That don't make this. That doesn't even math. That don't make no sense at all whatsoever. That doesn't fit at all. Okay. I want to come now to the book of Exodus chapter 19, verse 6. Exodus chapter 19, verse 6. All right. We're starting to wind down here now. I'm trying to just sum it up. We're winding down. Exodus chapter 19, verse 6. Let's get back to God's plan, what he wanted from the nation of Israel. Not with the mixing stuff. Not with the Mamzer stuff.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Exodus chapter 19, verse 6. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words with which thou speak unto the children of Israel. And Moses came unto the four elders, and Moses came.
All right, brother. That's the thing. That's it right there. I forgot to chime in. So, God wanted the nation of Israel to be a nation of priests. The entire nation is supposed to be a nation of priests. All right. And the priests clearly cannot marry outside the nation. We are a nation of. We're supposed to marry inside of the nation. So this is God's original plan. This is what's supposed to happen. So when people deviating and deviation happen and men start to go off of lust and go outside the nation, people want to argue some dumb point about God is sanctioning these outside marriages with these other nations, these other women. But no, he's not. No, he's not. He's not sanctioning not one of them. None. Okay? It's going against his law. We're supposed to be a nation of priests, a holy nation unto him. This is what he said to us. Okay? And that does not stop. This is when it goes all the way down, even when you come to the New Testament. Okay? The priest cannot marry outside. That's why he severed us from other people that we might be his. I want to come now to the book of the New Testament. Let me get 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9.
First Peter chapter 2, verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should shew forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into a marvelous light, into his marvelous light.
For all the people under the Messiah, Christ Jesus, we are this chosen generation. We are a royal priesthood. The apostles, these men are priests. The followers of Christ are priests. They're in a holy nation. They're a peculiar people. This goes all the way back to the so-called Old Testament. That we should show forth the praises of him who have called us out of darkness into his marvelous light. All this stuff about mixing this, that's darkness. He's called us out of that stuff. So it's time for the information to come out. We got to stop this mixing. Stop this stuff that's going on. As we can see clearly, the Lord has shut down the lineage when that has happened. When that has happened, the Lord has stopped recording the lineage. You can continue to go mix out there. Your line will be unrecorded in heaven. You play the game, your line mess around, be eliminated. Okay, it would be eliminated, not recorded. You continue thinking that's what's going to happen, but it's not. According to the text of the Bible, God will not record your lineage. It will be blotted out. Okay, separated. All right, from there, let's get into the Apocrypha. Let's come to the Apocrypha, brother. There's some lessons out of the Apocrypha right quick. You have yours with you, the Apocrypha? We're going to go first of all with we're going to come with Tobit chapter 4, verse 12. Let's start there. Tobit chapter 4, verse 12.
Tobit chapter 4, verse 12. Beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers, and take not a strange woman to wife, which is not of thy father's tribe. For we are the children of the prophets. No, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember, my sons, that are fathers from the beginning, even that they are all married wives. They are all married wives of their own kindred, and were blessed in their children, and their seed shall inherit the land.
Yeah, see that? They kept it within their line, and their seed was blessed and inherited the land. These other mixed seed are not going to be blessed, not going to inherit the land. We see this consistently throughout the text. All right? He's giving us the history of our forefathers and how they did it, how God set it up. Let's get the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4, verse 3 to 6. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4, verse 3 to 6. Right? We'll start to wrap it up right there. Right? Got any more? I think that's we'll prove this Mamzer thing clearly. Let's speak about mixed people. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4, verse 3 to 6.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4, verse 3. But the multiplying brood of the ungodly shall not thrive, nor take deep rooting from bastard slips, nor lay any fast foundation.
See that? So the multiplying brood, which is children, the brood is the children, the multiplying children of the ungodly shall not thrive, okay, nor take deep root from bastard slips, nor lay fast hold, nor lay any fast foundation. Go ahead.
For though they flourish in branches for a time, yet standing not fast, they shall be shaken with the wind, and through the force of winds, they shall be rooted out.
See, so eventually that's what's going to happen. They got to be rooted out. The line got to be cleared, got to be cleaned up. Okay, that mixing got to be rooted out. The Most High is going to mix. And again, we started off by saying that's why one of the reasons why Noah was saved, because his line was not mixed, his pedigree was not tainted, was not defiled. What was going on with the fallen with the sons of God, the angels? Okay, go ahead.
The imperfect branches shall be broken off, their fruit unprofitable, not ripe to eat, yea, meat for nothing.
All right, so we have it there clear. That's clear right there. Meat for nothing. Go ahead.
For children begotten of unlawful beds are witnesses of wickedness against their parents to their trial.
All right. So again, we see it here. All that stuff is unlawful. Marrying outside the nation is unlawful. Can't marry outside the nation. We have a bunch of brothers up there lying about these different things that you can marry outside the nation, which is a lie. No, you cannot. There'll be no point for the Most High severing Israel from all the people of the earth, as we read earlier in 1 Kings 8, verse 53. Why would he separate us from all people of the earth and then allow us to go marry these people when he separated us from them? All that would be pointless. You know what I'm saying? So all that is clear. All right. So the mixing is the Mamzer thing. You cannot come into the Lord's congregation. Again, it's not telling you to leave the land. You will be separated from the populace. All right. That's all that's saying you will do. Separate you from the populace. And I think that's all I have, brother. I think I'm gonna start to wind it down. Let me go ahead. If anybody let me put the link in the chat just in case somebody want to come dispute or add to or whatever the case might be. You can do that if you want.
Moshe the Hebrew says, keep bringing it, brother.
I'm gonna give the naysayers or those who disagree a chance to come in and put the link in the chat. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna put the link in the chat. So there the link should be in the chat. Anybody want to come add or dispute, refute, whatever, we're open. We waiting. Please have your
what is that?
Please have your scriptures. Don't come with the conjecture and the speculation. Have your verses because I'm doing all that.
Tony Tone 76 says marrying outside the nation isn't lawful. Can you please explain Deuteronomy 21:10 through 14?
Let's go. Let's get it. Said Deuteronomy chapter, what he said, chapter 21.
21. 21:10 through 14.
It's not hard to answer that one. Okay, you got it, brother?
Deuteronomy 21, verse 10.
Everybody, you know what? Before we read that, let me get the correct understanding. Before we read Deuteronomy 21, because what people don't understand here, that this is clearly a judgment. This is a judgment call. Okay, this is a judgment given by Moses. I want to come to the. Let's come back. Let's get you Apocrypha right quick. We're gonna come back here and read it and explain it. I'm gonna read it in the Apocrypha. We're gonna read here in Deuteronomy 21:10 down, and we're gonna go to another verse in the Bible that more explain this verse right here. Okay. We're gonna come to Ecclesiasticus in the Bible, chapter 45. Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, we're going to come to chapter 45, and we're going to read verse 17. Then we're going to come back to Deuteronomy.
You said Ecclesiasticus 45?
Starting at verse 17.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 45, verse 17. He gave unto him his commandments.
Go ahead. Authority. You see clearly here, this is speaking of Moses. He gave unto him his commandments. We know that's speaking of Moses. Moses was given the commandments. Go ahead.
And authority in the statutes of judgments.
Go ahead.
That he should teach Jacob the testimonies and inform Israel in his laws.
Right. So Moses was also given, it says here, authority in the statutes of judgment. So Moses was able to make judgment calls in the wilderness. All right. I'm gonna prove that he was doing this. Then we're gonna read it. People think that he wasn't doing it. He had authority to make judgment calls, and he made judgment calls in the wilderness. I'm gonna prove that he was doing this. We're gonna come to Deuteronomy 21:10. This is a judgment call of Moses in Deuteronomy 21:10. I'm gonna prove that it is. I'm not making a statement. I'm gonna prove it is. Okay. And we're gonna understand why God did that. Why did God do that? Then we're gonna also read why. Okay. It ain't good enough just to just say it. We need to understand the why, the how, and the why. Let's come to the book of Exodus. Let's get Exodus first, and we're gonna come back here. It's Exodus 18th chapter. Exodus the 18th chapter. Answer the brother's question. We just need a couple of background on it before we get to the verse, so we can understand the verse more clearly once we reach it. Exodus the 18th chapter. I want to get right to the point. Let's get verse. Start at verse 13.
Exodus chapter 18, verse 13. And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses sat to judge the people.
So we see here he's clearly judging the people. He sat to judge the people. Go ahead.
And the people stood by Moses from the morning until the evening.
From morning, that's like 6 a.m. to the evening, that's going off maybe all the way to sundown. Okay. From morning to evening, they sat before Moses. He's judging them. All right, go ahead.
And when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, "What is this thing that thou doest to the people? Why sittest thou thyself alone, and all the people stand by thee from morning until even?"
So he was sitting by himself alone and doing this, judging the people from morning to evening. Go ahead.
And Moses said unto his father-in-law, "Because the people come unto me to inquire of God."
So they say they come to him to inquire of God. Go ahead.
When they have a matter, they come unto me.
So when they have a matter, they would come to Moses with the problem, with the matter. Go ahead.
And I judge between one and another.
He says he judged between one and another. Go ahead.
And I do make them know the statutes of God and his laws.
Okay, and then at times he do also make them know God laws, statutes, and time, but he also put on his own judgment. I'm gonna prove it. We're gonna read it. I'm gonna read where he gives a judgment, and I'm gonna read where God give a judgment, and they're gonna contradict. Clearly, if there's two judgments they're given and they contradict, one got to be from God and one got to be from Moses. And I'm going to show you why God allowed that to happen. I'm going to read it, all right? Not making it up. I'm going to read it. Moses gives a certain judgment that goes against God's judgment, and God is allowing it. We're going to read why he allowed it. Let's read why he allowed it first. Then I'm going to read the judgment that's contradictory. Then we're going to get to Deuteronomy 21. Let's come all the way to the book of Ezekiel, brother. Let's get why. Why did God allow that to happen then? Why? Here's the why. Let's come to the book of Ezekiel, the 20th chapter. We're going to come to Ezekiel, the 20th chapter. I want to get right. Let me see, can I get right to the point here? I don't want to drag it out. We got to get back to Deuteronomy 21. Let's Ezekiel 20, and let's start at verse 23.
Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 23. I lifted up my hand unto them, also in the wilderness, that I would scatter them among the heathen and disperse them through the countries.
So we see clearly here, he was pinpointing the wilderness where Moses was given judgment at. Okay, that he would scatter them among the heathen and disperse them amongst the countries. Go ahead.
Because they had not executed my judgments, but had despised my statutes.
So they would not execute God's judgment. When Moses was giving them God's judgment, they wasn't executing God's judgment. Okay, and they despised God's statutes. When Moses brought up God's statutes, they would despise that. They didn't want to do that. Go ahead.
And had polluted my Sabbaths.
So they polluted God's Sabbaths. Okay, that's talking about the high holy days. Okay, they wasn't keeping the high holy days in the wilderness. I think they just kept one thing, Passover. I think Passover maybe, once in the wilderness, and after that, nothing else. Okay, go ahead.
And had polluted my Sabbaths, and their eyes were after their fathers' idols.
They were dealing with idols in the wilderness, not listening. Go ahead.
Wherefore I gave them also statutes that were not good.
So God said he gave them statutes that were not good. So these are not his statutes. He gave them statutes that was not good. Go ahead.
And judgments whereby they should not live.
And judgment whereby they should not live. But how did he do it? Through Moses. That's why he allowed Moses to give judgment calls, to give these things. Because they won't listen to his judgments, his statutes. He allowed Moses to give them his judgment that wasn't good for them to live by. That's why he did it, because they won't listen to him. All right? Now let's read one of Moses' judgment that contradict God's judgment. Then let's read the brother's question to understand why that's there. Let's get Deuteronomy chapter 25. We're going to read one of Moses' judgments. And then I'm going to read God's judgment on the exact same issue. Here is Moses' judgment on this issue. And I'm going to give you God's judgment on the exact same issue. Deuteronomy 25. And I want to get verse 5.
Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 5. If brethren dwell together, and one of them die, and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her, and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother unto her.
All right, we can stop right there. So that's the judgment on it. If a man got a brother and he died without a child, he's supposed to go into his wife and raise up seed. It's called the Levirate law. This is what's supposed to happen. Okay, I'm saying it's a law of judgment. Now I'm gonna read God's law on this particular situation right here. Let's come to the book of Leviticus, the 20th chapter, brother. Here's God's judgment on this right here.
Oh.
Leviticus, the 20th chapter. What does God say about some situation like this? Okay, with a brother dying, is the God allowing? Is God saying you should go and marry your brother's wife? Leviticus 20, and let's get verse. I think it's 21. Leviticus chapter 20. Yeah, let's get verse 21.
Leviticus chapter 20, verse 21. And if a man shall take his brother's wife, it is an unclean thing.
Stop. Let's stop. Let's pause for a second, right quick. That's why we gotta think. When we're reading, we gotta think. It says, if a man take his brother's wife, it says it's an unclean thing. Now, if your brother is alive and you go take his wife, it's adultery, it's a death penalty. Clearly. Right? So if a man is taking his brother's wife, he would have to be dead. His brother is dead. Why he's taking his brother's wife? Because if he was alive, it would be adultery. It's a death penalty. It wouldn't be classified as an unclean thing. It would be classified as adultery. So this text is telling us that this man brother is dead, and he go and take his wife after him. God is saying this is an unclean thing if you do that. All right, go ahead.
He hath uncovered his brother's nakedness.
Go ahead.
They shall be childless.
So if you go into your brother's wife, God said you're going to be childless. This will nullify what Moses is saying there in Deuteronomy 25:5 to go raise up seed, when God is saying, nope, if you do it that way, you ain't going to have no child. You're going to be childless because it's an unclean thing. You're uncovering your brother's nakedness if you do that. Okay? Again, this man have to be dead, otherwise it'd be adultery. He wouldn't have the chance to go sleep with her, have a child by her, because it would be a death penalty to him and her, if the man is alive. So you have to be there. So God's judgment on you marrying your brother's wife is unclean, and you're going to be childless, not going to her and raise up seed. So those two contradict, proving that Deuteronomy 25 is a judgment call from Moses. Has to be. All right? Now let's come back here and get to Deuteronomy 21, to the original question. Deuteronomy 21 is where we left off at. And I'm going to prove again, this is also a judgment from Moses. I'm going to prove it. Deuteronomy 21, verse 10.
Deuteronomy 21, verse 10. When thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, and the Lord thy God hath delivered them into thine hand, and thou hast taken them captive.
Go ahead.
And seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and hast a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife.
So you go to war, you win the war, you got them in captivity. Now, it doesn't say exactly really what nation. We know that there was some nation we ain't even supposed to be dealing with, according to Deuteronomy chapter 7. But it's not even specified here. But it says you go to war, okay, you captive, you win, you see a beautiful woman amongst them, you have a desire unto her, and you want her to be a wife. Go ahead.
Then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and he shall shave her head and par her nails.
Go ahead.
And she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thy house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. And after that thou shalt go into her and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife.
Okay, it's going to be her husband. We know the Hebrew word there is Baal, which is Lord, actually Lord. They translated husband, no problem. And he shall be his wife. Now here we go. All right, here we go. Go ahead.
And it shall be, if thou have no delight in her, then thou shalt let her go whither she will.
Now, you did this to this woman and you lie with her and you find out, man, I don't want to be with her. You can just let her go whether she will. Now, according to Moses' other judgment, this is contradicting his other judgment in Deuteronomy 24. In Deuteronomy 24, verse 1, he says you have to give her a writing of divorcement. That's what he said. Can we briefly read it right quick? Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter, because he stipulates you have to give her a writing of divorcement. But there, you ain't got to do that to her. You can just send her away. You can just send her away, even though marriage is permanent. Marriage is, according to God, marriage is permanent. You cannot get out of the marriage except by death. Can we get Deuteronomy 24, verse 1?
Deuteronomy 24, verse 1. When a man hath taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he hath found some uncleanness in her, let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house.
Okay, so now this decree is also a proof again that a man cannot have more than one wife, because if you have a woman and she tripping or you find some uncleanness in her, whatever the case, I mean, it doesn't even specify what the uncleanness is, which is crazy, because she could be on her period and you can say, well, she's unclean. You can use that as an excuse to give her a bill of divorcement because she's on her period or she didn't take a shower or something, because it didn't specify kind of really what the uncleanness is. It says some uncleanness. You don't specify what it is, which is crazy. It doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? So this decree here from Moses is proof you can't have more than one wife, because if you have a woman that's stripping, you can just really ignore her and just go get another woman. Just go get another woman. You don't have to deal with that. You just say, well, look, I can have more than one woman. I don't have to put up with this. I can just go and get 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever I want. But he can't do that. He has to first, according to this decree here, he has to first divorce her. Give her a writing of divorcement in her hand. He has to first do that and then send her out of his house. He has to first do this. Okay? Then he's able to go get another woman after he divorced this first woman. He can't be multiplying or adding women. He got to give this one a writing of divorcement. This decree is proof that you can't have more than one wife. This is clear, because I've seen men plenty of time. Men have girls on the side, and she tripping. She just go get another woman and just deal with her. And when she get her mind right, then he get back and deal with her again. But the text is saying you can't do that. You got to first divorce her, boy, before you touch another woman. All right? Get verse 2.
Verse 2. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife.
Okay, so the bill of divorcement is for her to prove that she was let go by this man, to show the other man that she was legally divorced according to the paperwork given to her. Okay? She just can't say I was divorced and just all it is. She got to show the paperwork that was given to her. Go ahead.
And if the latter husband hate her and write her a bill of divorcement and giveth it to in her hand and sendeth her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife.
So that there's no remarriage. There's no remarriage. Once you divorce her, let her go. According to this decree here of Moses' judgment, you can't take her back. Even if the other husband write her up or he even dies, she can't go back to that first guy. Once you let her go, it's permanent. It's done. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
In her hand, and sendeth her away and giveth it in her hand, and sendeth her away out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife. After that is defiled. For that is an abomination before the Lord.
Go ahead.
That is an abomination before the Lord. And thou shalt not cause the land to sin, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance.
All right. So there's no remarriage there. She must get a writing of a divorcement in her hand. So the woman here in Deuteronomy 21, here in verse 14, he can just send her away and she can go wherever she will, and he doesn't have to give her any kind of writing of divorcement at all whatsoever, contradicting what it says in the 24th in the 24th chapter, verse 1 to verse 5. So this clearly has to be a judgment of Moses, because God is not the author of confusion. God was not going to write two things and not stipulate here in verse 14 that you have to then give this woman a writing of divorcement in her hand and she can go out. Because you said you married her, she became a wife. Because if you're gonna argue that this woman became his wife and they were husband and wife, you have to then say that she has to be given a writing of divorcement in her hand. Okay? And that was not given to her. Can we come back to Deuteronomy 21 and 14? Because I want to get one more verse after this, which shows you the Lord is not with this, with that divorce decree and this nonsense here as well.
Yeah, Tony got several other scriptures he wanted to address. Hope he followed up with that. You said Deuteronomy what?
Back to Deuteronomy 21, let's finish off verse 14.
Which one did you say?
Deuteronomy 21, verse 14. Deuteronomy 21, verse 14. You there? All right, you have any problem? I'll finish reading it then. Deuteronomy 21, verse 14. And it shall be, if thou have no delight in her, then thou shalt let her go whither she will, but thou shalt not sell her at all for money. Thou shalt not make merchandise of her, because thou hast humbled her. Okay, so there's no fourth decree here given. This is clearly talking about some decree of the judgment that Moses gave. This is inconsistent with chapter 24, his other decree that he gave. Okay? Now, as far as the Lord looking at this decree of divorce, I want to come to the book of Jeremiah. Here's what the Lord says about this clearly from his own mouth. Watch what he says. Jeremiah chapter 3. I want to get verse 1. Because that was not from him. Check how the Lord phrased this. We're in Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 1. Here's what he says. They say, it starts off immediately. It says, they say, not I said, not thus saith the Lord. They say, if a man put away his wife and she go from him and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? So he's quoting Deuteronomy 24, 1 through 4, but he said that they say. He didn't say I said this. I didn't say that. That's what they say. Moses said that and they following that. They say. Okay? It said, shall not that land be greatly polluted? It said, but thou hast played the harlot with many lovers. He's telling Israel, but yet return again to me, saith the Lord. So the Lord is telling us, yeah, you played the harlot. You went over there and dealt with some idols and stuff, some other gods. According to Deuteronomy 24 and 1, once it happens, you can't go back to your first husband. We shouldn't be able to go back to the Lord once we start worshiping idols and going off like that. We should be able to come back according to Deuteronomy 24. But the Lord is saying here, listen, you play the harlot, but come back to me. So that means that Deuteronomy 24, 1 through 4, 1 through 5 there ain't from the Lord. Because that stipulates no remarriage. But the Lord is saying, hey, listen, you can come back. I can remarry you again. You can come back. That's not my decree. That's not my judgment. That's Moses' judgment. He said that because you will listen to me. All right? You can come back to me, though. So clearly here, this verse right here, letting us know that Deuteronomy 24 ain't from the Lord. Okay? Because we can come back to him and be remarried back to him again. And we are going to be, according to Jeremiah 31:31. Okay? So this is the decree right here. Let me see if the brother is back. 1 second here. Let me bring him back. All right, you back, brother?
I am, Mark.
Okay. I wanted to get one more in the book of, because this situation here, I don't want to read all that. See, Numbers 31 speaks of the situation here where they went to war and they got some women. Let me see, can I get it right here? Let's get Numbers 31. Let me get to the other question. Because they went to war and they had brought some women back. And Moses was like, what y'all doing? Y'all tripping. Deuteronomy 31. And let me see, where is it?
Oh no, maybe what was that? 9?
31. I want to get right to the point, bro.
Oh, okay.
Give me verse 17 and 18, because they went to war. I think this was against the Midianites, and they won the war. And I killed out, I guess, if not all, but most of the males. And now they're bringing back the spoils back to the camp. Let's start at verse 14. Numbers 31. Let's start at verse 14 down to verse 18.
Numbers 31, verse 13. And Moses and Eleazar the priest, and all the principals. Oh, you said 14?
Numbers 31, verse 14. 31.
And Moses, Numbers 31, 14. And Moses was wroth with the officers of the host, with the captains over thousands, and the captains over hundreds, which came from battle. And Moses said unto them, have ye saved all the women alive?
See, you see some women alive. He was mad at them because they went and brought some women back. You saved them all alive. Go ahead.
Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespass against the Lord in the matter of Peor. And there was a plague among the congregation of the Lord.
So it's not, so now it's like, okay, well, then it's specific people you would go to war to. You can go ahead and then bring back some of the women that you would see that you like, because Moses isn't specifying there in Deuteronomy 21 that if the woman have known children, have known men or not. It's just that you saw one that was fine to you, attractive. You know, so you probably kill this woman's husband. She's attractive. You see her in the war and you just take her. He doesn't specify that if she's a virgin or not. In Deuteronomy 21, 10 down to verse 14. You have to say that if you see her and she look good, she attractive, and you want to take her in. Okay? So it's not specific there or detailed there enough. But here they came back and they brought some women back and Moses was mad at them. All right? Go ahead.
Now, therefore, kill every male among the little ones.
So kill all them little ones, the male little ones. Go ahead.
And kill every woman that have known man by lying with him.
So everyone now that known men by lying, and you got to kill them. Go ahead.
But all the women children that have not known a man by lying with them, keep alive for yourselves.
Now, it isn't keep alive for yourself to go sleep with them. These are women, children. These are little children that they're dealing with here now. Not for you to go and have her come home for 30 days, shave her head and par her nails, and then you go sleep with her. No. These are little children. They're going to be servants within your household. These are the ones that they saved alive, according to when they went to war, right here in Deuteronomy 21. This would contradict what he's saying there in Deuteronomy 21 and 10. Okay? Clearly, you can only save the women, children for yourselves and as servant, not to sleep with. We went through all night long. The God is not with mixing. He's not with mixing. So you going off to the war and getting a girl from another nation and sleeping with her is against God's laws and commandments, because he's not with mixing. All right. let's give the other question. The other question that the brother brought up, he said he wanted more understanding on. We covered Deuteronomy, Numbers 31, 9 and 18. We just jumped on that just now. Deuteronomy 20 and 14 is the other one. Deuteronomy 20 and 14 is the other one you want to deal with.
Leviticus 24:10.
And Leviticus 24:10. Yeah, can we get Deuteronomy 20 and 14, I think he says. Again, Deuteronomy 20 and 14 would definitely, these would be servants. These are not women for you to sleep with, because you cannot have sex with women outside of your nation. The line will be cut off because they're mamzers. They be mixed. That's not what that was supposed to be for. So, I mean, that would explain away Deuteronomy 20 and 14. Deuteronomy 20 and 14 says, but the women and the little ones and the cattle and all that is in the city, even all the spoil thereof, shalt thou take unto thyself, and thou shalt eat the spoil of thine enemies, which the Lord thy God hath given thee. Nothing here about having sex with them or anything like that. Again, they're supposed to be servants and slaves. You can't mix with them. We went through it again all night. The next one he brought up was Leviticus 24 and 10. Let me get Leviticus 24 and 10. Leviticus 24. Wait a minute. I can't remember this verse. Leviticus 24 and 10. All right, you there, brother? You got it, or me to read it?
Leviticus 24:10. And the son of an Israelitish woman, whose father was an Egyptian, went out among the children of Israel. And this son of the Israelitish woman and a man of Israel strove together in the camp.
Okay, so we have this son right here, this child, he's mixed. He's half Israelite and he's half Egyptian. His father's an Egyptian. His mother's an Israelite. So the story goes that he blasphemed the name of the Lord and he was eventually put to death. He was stoned. Okay, he died. So I don't know why he brought that verse up. I don't know if he actually said that. So, but I brought out that the mixed children and stuff in the wilderness, they died out. So this person here, this child died. And he has 1 Kings 7 and 13. Did we cover that? 1 Kings 7 and 13. Let me get 1 Kings chapter 7, verse 13. Oh, he's dealing with Hiram. This Hiram is an Israelite. We're gonna prove it. I'm gonna prove this is an Israelite. This is an Israelite. I'm gonna prove Hiram here. This Hiram, not King Hiram. This Hiram is an Israelite. 1 Kings chapter 7. Let's get verse 13.
1 Kings chapter 7, verse 13. And King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre. He was a widow's son of the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a man of Tyre, and a worker in brass, and he was filled with wisdom and understanding and cunning to work all works in brass. And he came to King Solomon and wrought all his work.
Okay, stop right there. That's all I really need. So the first thing we have here about Hiram, this is the famous Hiram Abiff. Okay, he's the one that started all this thing, and they killed him. All right, this is supposed to be this comes from the Masons. The first Mason was Hiram Abiff here. It says he was a widow's son of the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a man of Tyre, a worker in brass, and he was filled with wisdom and understanding and cunning to work all manner of works. Now let's get the other verse here to bring this home. He has also 1 Kings 14 and 1. We'll see what that says. Probably saying the same thing. I'm not sure. 1 Kings chapter 14, verse 1.
Says First King, huh?
Oh no,
First Kings chapter 14.
No, I'm reading it wrong, brother. He has it's 1 Kings 7, 13 through 14. I got it wrong.
Okay, got it.
He meant 13 and 14. I'm looking at it wrong. So now he wants. Then we're gonna come to First Chronicles. Now he wants First Chronicles chapter 2, verse 34 and 35. But before we read that, I want to read the one that goes along with First Kings 7, 13 and 14. Let me get Second Chronicles 2. Second Chronicles chapter 2, verse 14. Give me 1 second, brother. 1 quick second. Let me see who this is. 1 second.
Brother Ahmayan smoking Joe Frazier tonight, buddy.
All right, I'm back, brother. Let's get you got Second Chronicles chapter 2, verse 14.
God.
Right.
Second Chronicles chapter 2, verse 14. Brother said he brought Leviticus 24:10 out because it doesn't seem like an Israelite woman being married to an Egyptian wasn't an issue. Their marriage wasn't condemned.
Yes, it was. I'm gonna read it. We're gonna get that.
Second Chronicles chapter 2,
verse 14. Go ahead.
Verse 14. The son of a woman of the daughters of Dan.
Okay,
and
so
his father.
Let's go slow. Let's go slow. Because we're speaking of Hiram, of Hiram. Read verse 13 so we can find out what we're talking about here. It's the same Hiram we just brought up in 1 Kings chapter 7, verse 13 and 14. It's the same person here. So Second Chronicles 2, start at verse 13.
Second Chronicles 2, verse 13. And now I have sent a cunning man endured with understanding, and Hiram, my father's.
Go ahead.
The son of a woman of the daughters of Dan.
So he's
father.
He's the son of a woman of the daughter of Dan. So his mother is a Danite. Okay? His mother here is a Danite, it says. So Hiram's, or here it has Huram's, his mother is a Danite. Okay? Go ahead.
And his father was a man of Tyre.
Of Tyre. Go ahead.
Skillful to the work in gold and in silver, in brass, in iron, in stone, and in timber, in purple, in blue, in fine linen, and in crimson. Also to grave any manner of graving, and to find out every device which shall be put on, which should be put to him, with thy cunning men, and with the cunning men of my Lord David thy father.
Okay, so Hiram mother, clearly here his mother is a Danite, is a woman of daughter of Danite, right? But then when we read, when we first went to First Kings chapter 7, verse 13 and 14. 14 says that his mother, who's a Danite, right, says
Mm-hmm.
he was a widowed son of the tribe of Naphtali. If he's a widowed son of the tribe of Naphtali, so that means what? His mother is a widow of the tribe of Naphtali, meaning that his father, her husband, had to be a what? From the tribe of Naphtali. He died. Her husband, who's from Naphtali, he died, so she became a widow of Naphtali, showing you that what? Her husband and his father is Naphtali from that tribe. That's why it says she is a widow of the tribe of Naphtali, because her husband is from Naphtali and he died. That's how she became a widow from that tribe. So that proved that Hiram is an Israelite from Naphtali, and he lived up in Tyre, in Tyre. That's what the location was. But the text is telling us he was an Israelite. He brought up another thing. Says what he says. Um, I brought Leviticus 24. Let's get it. Let's get Exodus. Let's get Exodus chapter 11. Exodus chapter 11. He says if there's a situation, he thought that their marriage was not spoken against. I think that's what he said. Leviticus chapter 11. Let me get verse 7. Let's start at verse 7. Then we get First Kings. That actually, well, is it First Kings? I think it's First Kings. You got that, brother? You got Exodus chapter 11, verse 7.
Yep.
Okay.
Exodus chapter 11, verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against a man or beast, that ye may know how that ye may know how that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
So the Lord separated Israel. He put a difference between them. All right. First clue he doesn't want us to deal with them sexually is that he put a difference between us and them, right? And then we're gonna go ahead and put the nail in the coffin. We read this earlier. Yes, First Kings chapter 11. First Kings chapter 11. We get verse 1 and verse 2. We're going to show you here that the Lord was not with that marriage of that Danite woman with that Egyptian man.
First Kings chapter 11, verse 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughters of Pharaoh,
Stop right there.
women of the most.
See, together with the daughter of Pharaoh. So that's an Egyptian. He was dealing with an Egyptian. Daughter of Pharaoh is an Egyptian. Now I want to jump down to verse 2. Verse 2.
Of the nation, verse 2, of the nations concerning the land said to the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love.
Or in lust. So clearly here it says of the nations concerning which the Most High Yahweh said unto Israel, you shall not go in unto. That's having sex. So in the first one mentioned here in verse 1 is the daughter of Pharaoh. So that would show you, prove that God is not with that marriage with that Danite woman and that Egyptian man. Okay. All right. Did he leave another one? Did we miss one? All praises, brother. all praises, brother, to the Most High. You know what I'm saying, for the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, man.
You said you made a good point.
Yeah, so we have to mix it with them. Is there any other question, man? Because we have the link in the chat. No one came in so far. Let me see if I miss anything.
He said when he said great point, he was referring to 1 Kings 7:13 through 14.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, about the widow of Naphtali. Yeah, definitely. Again, all praise to the Most High, man. I remember it's like years ago we was wrestling with that. We were kind of like thinking that he was a Gentile too, a man of Tyre, and we were like, man, whoa, and we just thought, man, we started praying and thinking about like, man, listen, a widow of Naphtali, bro. then it clicked. You know what I'm saying? Then it clicked years ago. But that's all praise to the Most High.
Tonight.
Yes, it's all praise to the Most High, man. That's when you really want to find out the truth, man. You wrestle with it. The Most High, you pray to him, man. He's gonna give you the understanding. Because we did not know that for a while. We was puzzled with that one. We didn't want to believe that this man was not like. We were like, nah, we ain't going with that one. We like, bro, he says it right here, it's a man of Tyre, man.
Right.
We was wrestling with that. Wow. If there's not any more, we get ready to close it out, man. I think we like, what we at, 4 hours or something now? 3 hours and a half?
No, 3.5, 3:37.
What about Moses? Moses married an Egyptian as well. Did Moses marry I remember him marrying an Egyptian. You have to pull that verse. Pull that verse for us, Ak. Pull that verse for us, brother. Yeah, Moses married an Egyptian at. Oh, he must mean in Numbers where he talks about he married a
That's what I was thinking.
That's an Ethiopian. The Hebrew says Cushite.
Yeah.
It's a Cushite.
She was Ethiopian. Yeah.
It's a Cushite. Yeah. So there in Numbers chapter 11, that's speaking of a Cushite, brother. The Hebrew text says Cushite. If that's the verse you're referring to, I don't know. It's because he has married an Ethiopian woman. The text says Cush, a Cushite woman. And that could have been Zipporah. We're not sure. That could have been Zipporah.
Well, my apologies for so many questions, but I'm seeking answers. My bad. My apologies. You all good, brother? You all good?
Yeah.
Without them questions, you don't find out nothing.
All right, brother. We welcome the questions, man. That's what we're here for. We here for to answer any question we can. If we can't answer it, we're gonna say we can't. We ain't gonna make nothing up. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna make nothing up. But
yeah, that was in Numbers 12, wasn't it?
Khan. Yeah, that says Cushite. So yeah, Moses didn't marry an Egyptian woman. If he would have stayed, I don't know, maybe. I doubt it though, but yeah, he was out of there after he killed that Egyptian. He left. Let me scroll back up, see if we had missed any questions or anything like that. I think that was it. I think that's it, brother.
Brother Tony he had the strong one tonight. He was seeking.
Well, I hope the class was edifying, man, to the other part, so we can move on to more deeper topics, man. You know what I'm saying? There's other deeper stuff we want to bring out. I got to jump into this. Hopefully, if Most High willing, I got to bring out the information on the New Testament being completely written in Hebrew, all of it from Matthew, Revelations. Bring that information out so we can stop with that Greek book they're talking about. Greek book. Hebrew book. Entire book is Hebrew. So Lord willing, I want to bring that out. I want to bring that out Friday night. Stop holding back this information and just and get right to it immediately and punch it all out, because we have tons of information to bring out. I mean, oh my goodness, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if there's no more question, man, we're getting ready to close it out, because I'm going to give another couple of minutes for those to click the link. Let me put it back in the chat right quick again, real quick. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes. If no one comes on and no one has any more questions, we're going to close it out.
Your bar still on there?
I don't. Yeah, look at Gabar put the link in the chat too as well. So
Okay.
It's on there. It's on there 3 times. I guess it's on Facebook, it's on my channel, and it's also on Debate Talk for you here. So once we put it on, it goes to all 3. It goes to all 3.
Oh, praises. God allow you.
No. I'm not saying marriage to an Ethiopian is okay at all. We're not supposed to marry. We're not supposed to marry outside our nation. That was the reason why Moses' son couldn't officiate in the Most High's temple, which we brought out earlier and showed the proof that Moses' sons was eliminated from the temple service because their mother was not an Israelite.
God.
So that would clearly show that him marrying Zipporah, who was probably a Cushite, or if she's a Midianite, either one of the two, same results. Because the end results is that his son couldn't officiate, it couldn't be priest to the Most High God. And the only reason why they couldn't be priest to the Most High God because of their mother, who was not an Israelite, making them Mamzers. So yeah, no, I'm not advocating marrying no woman outside of the nation of Israel. Absolutely not. And whoever man that reading the Bible that ever was doing that was not sanctioned by the Most High God at all. If it was,
again, I missed it.
Oh, oh, praise it. Lot of information in there. Yeah. I say run it back. If you miss something, run it back. A lot of Bible information in there.
Yeah, I mean, I condensed it too. I didn't bring everything out. I condensed it. Yeah, brother, watch it from the beginning, man. There's a lot in there, bro. and like I said, I condensed it as well. I didn't even bring everything out I wanted to.
Yeah, you have no idea.
Yeah, there's certain. I didn't want to overkill it. There's certain things I was going to say, but I said, you know what? I don't want to go there with it. So with that, we're gonna get ready to shut it down. No one is coming on. I want to thank everyone that's on right now, and those who have came on, who have been jumping on it, coming in and out. And thank you for coming in, even giving us your time. You know, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you was here with us. You know what I'm saying? We definitely appreciate that. I want to thank the Most High for his knowledge, wisdom, understanding, his patience with the entire nation of Israel, because it didn't have to be. So, and the thing that he's doing for us as Israelites that we see and that we don't see. The Most High doing things that we don't see. So I want to thank you for what he doing that we see and we don't see. And that he continue to do these things for us until he come get us up out of here. You know what I'm saying? Until we all come into the fullness in our talk and walk as priests of the Most High God, as he intended for us to do in Exodus 19:5. We operate as priests, talk as priests. So again, we'll thank the Most High for that. Of course, his first begotten son, Mashiach Yahweh for coming dying for the nation of Israel and giving us a second chance to get back to the Most High graces and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And the Messiah done. You know what I'm saying? So I know that those that don't believe in the Messiah, but you would understand soon enough what that man did in the first century. You would understand. You would understand soon. You might not see it or believe it now or know it now. There's gonna come a day when you're gonna understand it. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna pay homage. What that man did It's off the charts. It's off the charts. So, Churi, you get some last words from you, brother. Let me get ready to shut it down now. Hey, same
Uh,
tone.
Barakatah.
Stay strong too, Ak. Stay strong too, brother. Tone. All right, go ahead, brother.
Oh yeah. Big ups to brother Tone Tone. Really good questions. Like you asking, brother. Ain't no stupid questions other than the ones that don't get asked. That's how you get filled up. That's how you get sharpened. Keeps us sharpened. Definitely keeps my brother sharpened because he was out there firing it. He was at the firing range tonight. Uh, bless everyone who came out, who logged on today and checked us out, checked my brother out. Um, I give all praises to the Most High for the gift and the abilities for all of us. For we all have many gifts, brothers and sisters. So stay strong, keep reading, study hard, uh, discipline yourselves, and keep walking. Keep walking. Every day has its own struggles. So keep walking, keep fighting. Learn your Hebrew. All praises. Bless
Con-
you. You were strong tonight, brother, as always.
All right, Tadai,
Oh,
Tadai,
oh, you
brother.
know what? I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Brother Gabar, blessings to you for allowing us to share your platform with you. All praises to you and the family. And Lord willing, we get a chance to speak to you on the Shabbat.
Con. Definitely. We definitely pleased by I want to thank Sal as well. What's up, Sal? I know you're gonna be listening to this sometime. What do you hear it later on or whatever? What up, bro? Get at me, man. And thanks Sal for opening up this platform to me and Gabar. You know what I'm saying? For spiritual
Come,
food.
big ups to Sal.
Definitely. I mean, donate. I mean, you should scroll at the bottom, put donate to the brother Sal. We keep this thing going. You can reach out. The information going to be, I think Gabar going to leave the information down in the description area where you can reach out to us. Anybody have any question, you can go to get to my channel on YouTube, The Way, the Truth, and the Life. There's a lot of information on my channel, but you can get on there and learn some stuff. You can leave a question in any one of the videos. I will respond to that. Reach out to me through the email or whatever. If there's a topic you want us to cover or jump on, by all means, reach out. Leave it in the comment section under this video. We will respond and do a lesson on it. We got spiritual food, Sabbath meal coming up this Shabbat morning at 9 a.m. Western Pacific time. Again, we have spiritual food Shabbat meal this Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And Lord willing, but Most High willing, we're going to try to do another class Friday night, proving that the Renewed Testament was completely written in Hebrew if everything goes according to plan. And with that, I want to thank you guys again for coming out and listening to the class. Please, by all means, go back and listen to the information. If there's something that you think we need to tweak or correct or something we did that was incorrect, by all means, leave a comment. We open to correction. We don't think we know it all, but we do study hard to make sure the information is correct. So we humans, we miss something, by all means, point it out to us, and we will correct ourselves. All right. I think that was it. I think I left anything else out. I don't want to forget nobody. Again, of course, Gabar, my co-host, of course, brother. Thank you for sending me the link and everything else to get this show going today. Hope all is well with you and your family. And we'll definitely be rapping, brother. So we about to close it out. I see no one else is coming on. Same to you, Barakatah. That's you, right? That's you, right? To Keon Moss.
God, no, that's my son.
Oh, to your son. Okay, yeah, but Barakat to you too, brother. Barakat to
Uh,
you too. All praises, brother.
Praise.
All right, man. Everybody go and close it out because we about almost 4 hours in. So again, thank you guys for listening in. See you guys in the next class. Most I willing. All
Most
right.
I will.
Shalom.
Shalom.